It's the milestone day here in the heartbeat of the Hunter Valley. It's the 300th game of the Hyundai A-League since this competition started just a couple of years ago. 798 goals have been scored all time through that competition, so we wonder today whether we'll break the 800 barrier as the sun beats down on the gathering of Jets fans who've come to cheer the defending champions home against the champions from Season 2. Hello and welcome to the Energy Australia Stadium. It's Newcastle against Melbourne on this Saturday evening. And joining me for the coverage, Mike Cockrell, as usual. 5-0 the last time these teams played. Newcastle away to Melbourne, a heavy defeat for the defending champs. Is revenge the order of the day?
Well, I think it's in the memory bank somewhere of Newcastle, and if you look at their results since, they've gone back to basics. I guess they've tightened up their defence, which was a target of Gary Van Egmond. But now it's about pushing on and actually creating opportunities. Obviously, they've struggled in front of goal, Newcastle, this season. Gary Van Egmond's picked a side tonight, which we'll hear about in a moment, which he thinks has got a lot of goals in it. And it's about starting from now and pushing on and making something of their title defence.
OK, well, let's get all that team news. It's a very good evening on the sideline to Melanie McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, guys. It's been a very hot day in Newcastle today, but it is cooling down, a nice little breeze now, which is very good news for the players. In terms of the pitch, there hasn't been an A-League game played on it in almost 2 weeks, so it's looking in very good condition. If anything, the grass is probably just a little bit longer. Let's have a look at the team lineups now. At the home side, you would imagine under a little bit of pressure today. Gary Van Egmond in his 50th A-League game has made a few changes. We'll have a look at that. 4-4-2. Adam and Joel Griffiths both return from injury. Joel earlier than expected. He's on the bench. James Holland returns from national duty, and Marko Jesic will make his starting debut up front alongside the on-notice Edmundo Zura, and Song drops to the bench this week. As for Melbourne, they've had a brilliant opening round. Ernie Merrick sticking with his attacking formation 4-3-3. 2 changes from a fortnight ago. Michael Theoklitos returns into the goals from suspension, as does Carlos Hernandez, linking with the league's current leading goal scorer, Danny Allsop, Archie Thompson and Tommy Ponduliak. What firepower they've got up there. Jose Luis Lopez only arrived in Newcastle a couple of hours ago after international duty with Costa Rica. He won't play. As you mentioned, it was 5-0 last time to the Melbourne victory, but the Jets up until then had pretty much been the victory's bogey side, and the Jets haven't won at this stadium yet all season, so you'd imagine it's absolutely crunch time for the defending champs.
Well, it could well be. Thanks very much, Mel. I'm not sure the degree to which you agree with Mel's last comment there, Mike, but there's certainly pressure on the imports. Song's gone to the bench, which is very interesting. Gary Van Egmond has been very public in his comments about Edmundo Zura this week, and Haakonsen, Jesper Haakonsen, the Danish import, was told, in your words, to harden up the long weekend Monday last start.
Well, we all saw it. We all saw it here on that game on the public holiday Monday when he tried to come off towards the end of the match. It was a very hot afternoon, and he was told to stay out there by his coach, Gary Van Egmond. And since then, Gary Van Egmond believes he's got a good reaction from the Dane. He's a player with quality, but he's struggled to get used to the physicality of this league. And I guess all 3 imports, Zura, Song and Haakonsen, are now officially on notice from Gary Van Egmond. They haven't had a great record with imports, this club, over the last couple of years. Let's be honest about it. They need to get more out of these guys. I think they're a decent crop of imports, but as yet we haven't seen enough from them.
Well, the interesting one about Song is that he has caught a lot of our attention. He has had some beautiful passages of play. Perhaps Van Egmond's run out of patience.
Hasn't scored a goal. That is the problem. He gets into good goal-scoring positions. We saw it a couple of times against Wellington Phoenix. Just doesn't have the finishing touch. It's about time, I guess, that he's going to have to deliver in that area. He's going to have to sit on the bench tonight, cool his heels a little bit, maybe ponder where it's all gone wrong. We love his talent, we love his ability on the ball, but there's no end product, and end product is what matters for Newcastle now. They haven't scored enough goals this season.
Of course, that does pose a very interesting tactical situation for Gary Van Egmond. You look at the firepower on the bench, Joel Griffiths and Song. We can look for their injection at some point, and it really could set the cat amongst the pigeons. That'll be a fascinating development in the game, of course. We'll have to wait and see how things do go from kick-off. We're not far from that point of this afternoon's match, the kick-off that is, but one player we were looking forward to seeing was Kaz Patafta. Of course, he moved to Newcastle from Melbourne, and you always look forward to seeing players go around against their former clubs. Not so for a young player who many believe has a big potential in the game, but has hit a little bit of a stuttering point.
2 rounds ago, Kaz Patafta was running round for Newcastle's National Youth League team. In fact, if the Youth League had have been round 2 years ago, one of Australia's most talked about young talents may never have headed off for the bright lights of Portugal's Benfica.
You know, it was an early stage in the A-League. Clubs were obviously finding players, and and it was important to find a lot of experienced players to build the league up early on. I was still young then and went off to the Under-17 World Championships, so I wasn't around too much, but I was happy to move over to Benfica. When I look back on things, it was really exciting. I learned a new language. The culture obviously was a lot different, but I had a great time.
The Melbourne victory tempted Patafta home last year on a season-long loan, but he struggled to earn a regular start. His skills only briefly glimpsed when coming off the bench a dozen times in 14 appearances for just the one goal.
Any footballer that's not playing regularly is going to be frustrated, and if you're not, I don't think you should be in the game. But it was hard. I felt that I had a good pre-season, but at times, it's the manager's choice, and he didn't go with me.
It's almost become an A-League cliche. Patafta's too small to cope with the rigours of senior football. But like most men, he's determined to prove size doesn't matter.
People are always going to try and attack your weak spots as a player, and for me, obviously, it's being a bit smaller than the guy next to me. I don't think that it's affected me at a young age, and I've still got a lot of growing to do. So, obviously, there's a physical side to the game, and I'll improve in that, just like everyone else is improving in different aspects.
Patafta takes solace that players of the same stature, like the Raw's Michael Zullo, have already proven themselves at the top level.
He's doing really well, which is great to see. It's always good to see young and up-and-coming players doing really well in the league. You need players with a bit of flair and a bit of excitement, and Zullo offers that.
Now released from his Benfica contract, Patafta signed a one-year deal with the Jets this season. Born in the nation's capital, he now feels at home in Newcastle under the guidance of a coach already renowned for getting the best out of young players.
How the training is very technically based. There's a lot of small-sided games and a lot of one-touch football, which is what I think I'm best suited to, so I'm really learning a lot.
Like Sydney and Melbourne before them, the Jets are finding a championship defence a hard thing to do, but their confidence hasn't waned.
It'll be tough. I think every season all the teams are improving a lot. They're signing great foreign players that are bringing a lot to the leagues. We've had a slow start this season, but I think we can bounce back and hopefully make the top four by the end of the season and then see what happens.
Sick of the view from the substitutes bench, Patafta has an immediate goal to tie down a starting spot.
I think that's been my goal for a while now. It's really playing 90 minutes week in, week out at the senior level, because I really believe that I can.
With a goal in his last appearance, it's clear this determined young man wants to grab his chance by the scruff of the neck and make sure the football public doesn't forget his name in a hurry.
Fox Sports' Murray Shaw with that report on Kaz Patafta. Action from the Youth League, which has just finished. The good news for fans of Kaz Patafta is he got a full game under his belt, so there's no injuries, which means he's got the foundation, Mike, to make an assault in a first-team position. He scored last start. What else does he have to do? What's your mail on his status at the club?
Well, look, I don't think he's in the frame when all the players are available, and that's disappointing for him. It was a similar situation at Melbourne victory. If you score in your last start, you'd think you'd at least be on the team sheet the next game. That hasn't happened. He went around in the Youth League earlier today. Bit of a broken record, sadly, for Kaz Patafta, but I guess the only thing we can say about this player, he got a lot of hype very early when he was very young, 16, 17 years of age. He's just on 20 years of age. He's still relatively young. He still has time, but I guess the frustrating thing for him is he's changed clubs from Benfica to Melbourne Victory to Newcastle Jets, and it's been the same story. He just can't get in favour with his coaches.
Well, that's the challenge facing Kaz Patafta, regular football. We're going to go to a break, and as we talk about challenges, it's time for an urban challenge. It's Adam Dapuzzo. We'll see you after this.
Hi, I'm Adam Dapuzzo from the Newcastle Jets, and my urban challenge today is to head this ball into that hoop. Embarrassing, that was embarrassing. Ooh. Thanks for the challenge, guys, but I thought it was close enough.
Thompson does make the Jets pay. This could seal it for Melbourne. Melbourne go for more. Danny Olsson. There's a chance for another one. It's in. And it is 5 for Melbourne.
Round 3 this season, the bloodbath at the Telstra Dome if you're a Newcastle fan, but happily if you're a Newcastle fan, they've got the wood as far as inflicting Melbourne's heaviest defeat on the victory. That was in season 2 with a 4-0 victory here, round 21. So the strange thing about these two teams, Mike, is that they've each inflicted the heaviest defeats on each other. So I guess the portent means goals this evening.
Well, we hope so. We hope they go on both ends, of course, for the spectators' sake and for Newcastle fans' sake. Obviously, they haven't won at home here yet. They want to turn that situation around. That result in Melbourne certainly was a wake-up call for Newcastle. Interesting, isn't it, how we get this championship hangover every year? We had it with Sydney FC, we've had it with Melbourne Victory, now we've had it with the Newcastle Jets. In fact, Ernie Merrick saying before the game he knows exactly what Gary van Egmond is going through, and it's been a slow start for Newcastle.
Well, at best summed up by this statistic about the first half of the football matches so far this season. After 45 minutes of football, through the rounds we've played, Sydney have been the most successful, 9 goals for, and the 4 against. This is the first 45 minutes of each game, and at the bottom, Newcastle, just 1 goal in the first 45 minutes of a football match so far this season. Does that reflect any particular pattern to you, apart from the fact that Newcastle might be struggling, Mike? Does it reflect you an approach they bring to the game of football?
Well, look, I think the fact is they play generally with 1 striker. I mean, Gary van Egmond talks about 3 at times, but really it's only 1. He has changed his formation for this game. He is going to play with 2 out-and-out strikers. Maybe that's the answer for him. Any team that's not going to score goals is going to start slowly. And, they've struggled in the first half of all their games this year. They haven't had the firepower. Surprising when you think about last season. Surprising when you think about Joel Griffiths. Probably Joel will be the first to admit as well. His form hasn't been up to scratch compared to last season. Gary's bedding down new players. He's bedding down attacking players like Hackinson and Zura. They haven't delivered as yet. It's D-Day, really, for Newcastle in that area of the park.
All right, well, let's hear from the reigning coach of the year, Gary van Egmond. He's with Mel McLaughlin.
Gary, you're back from the break and some good news. You've pretty much got a full-strength squad to choose from?
Yeah, apart from Joel, I mean, we're utilising him off the bench tonight. He's got through 2 days of full training with the squad, but we're a little bit worried on the fatigue factor with the hamstring, and we're very confident to get through half a game, and we think at the back end of the game it might be someone who can definitely liven things up.
And Marko Jesic gets his chance. He's starting alongside Edmundo Zura. What about Zura? Because during the week you've had a lot to say about how he should be performing and how there might be a bit of pressure on him. Did you expect to start him?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, look, I think what's happened with Edmundo, he's still coming to grips a little bit of the way that obviously it's played here in Australia. It's a lot more physical. It's a lot more. It's a lot quicker. And tonight we're just giving him some help and getting some people in and around the ball where he is. So I think playing 2 up front. Young Marko's an up-and-coming talent with Jasper just in behind. I think they can strike up a good combination.
Now, in round 1, obviously we know you guys went down 5-0 at Telstra Dome. Has much been said about that in this break?
Not a great deal, but it's always something nagging at the back of your mind until you play that team again. And I know the boys definitely have on their minds tonight to right that wrong. They've got a lot of reasons to really put in tonight. A, the position we are on the ladder first and foremost, and B, we're playing the league leaders. So if we want to stay in contact with the top 4, we need a result tonight.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Mel.
Well, the Jets under Van Egmond have shown resilience, if nothing else, Mike. They're still there or thereabouts.
Oh, they're not too far off. They just need to go on a run of results, and as I've already said, they need to start winning at home. Today's the day to do that. It's a good challenge for them against a team on top of the table who've been in great form going into this match. You want to measure yourself against teams like Melbourne Victory if you're genuine about winning the title. Newcastle are obviously genuine about defending their title. As Gary said, it hasn't quite gone according to plan so far. He's trying some new things up front. He's as interested, I think, as we are to see how it all pans out here this evening. Well,
it would be a good boost for the Newcastle confidence if they can get maximum points against Melbourne, who've been very impressive so far this season. One of the reasons is because of their coach, Ernie Merrick. He's with Mel McLaughlin.
Ernie, with things going so well for you at the moment, did you focus on anything in particular over the break?
Not really. We've been playing a fairly attacking 4-3-3, so there's no point in changing that, scoring so well in the last game against Perth. All we did was have a light week and a heavy week from the point of training, and we're ready to go again.
Have you been at all wary in this break? Because obviously we know that you beat them 5-0 at Telstra Dome, wary about how they're going to react?
There's no doubt Newcastle are going to come out all guns firing. They'll want to even the score, so it's going to be a tough one. And Newcastle's a good team in the current championship team, so we're expecting a tough battle, but we'll certainly take it up to them.
All right, thanks, Ernie.
Thanks, Mel.
Well, I think we can all expect a tough battle here at the Energy Australia Stadium. That's what's at stake. Melbourne, top position, 14 points shared with Adelaide after their win last night, and Sydney's game against Perth tomorrow, of course, could have an effect on the leadership. Newcastle in 6th place, 7 points and a win would draw them level with their F3 arch rivals, the Central Coast Mariners. So there's plenty at stake here, even at this early stage, just the 8th round of the Hyundai A-League for season 4. Well, the players have had a good week of training. They've had the FIFA break and now they go through their final preparations. We're about 15 minutes from kick-off here at the Energy Australia Stadium. We're back after this to continue the countdown to Van Egmond versus Merrick, to Newcastle versus Melbourne. Danny Allsop's had a wonderful season again. He's top of the goal-scoring charts, and he's even missed or had a few close ranges saved, most notably by Clint Bolton and Mark Bosnich. Not too bad goalkeepers to have for you, but still Allsop has been flying, Mike, top of the pops with the goal-scoring. He and Archie Thompson, a formidable pairing. They've got a job to do today against Adam Griffiths returning from injury at the defending midfield and Jade North at the back. So he'll have his work cut out today, Danny Allsop.
I think sometimes we underrate Danny Allsop. Look, he's been super consistent since coming back to the A-League. His work rate is phenomenal. I'm a little bit surprised sometimes he doesn't get mentioned a lot by Pim Verbeek as an option. I mean, when he's looking at his A-League players, as I said, consistent, a great partnership with Archie Thompson. He's off to a flyer again this season. He scores goals with his head. He attacks defenders. He likes to operate wide and make those runs from out to in. He does cause defenders a lot of problems and makes them think about how they're going to defend. And, the Jets players are going to have their work cut out tonight, Jade North in particular.
It's interesting you raised the mention of Pim Verbeek, the national team coach. One thing you'd think he'd admire Allsop for is his work rate. I mean, he gets the goals and he causes trouble. But gee, he works hard. He covers a lot of ground, and you'd think that would be something that in Pim Verbeek's eyes would be favourable.
Well, we know he likes hard-working players. I mean, you look on the other side, Joel Griffiths, I think equally so, as a striker who scores goals and works very hard. Neither of them seem to be in the frame with the national team. I guess that's a subject for another day. But, look, Danny's doing all he can for Melbourne victory to put himself in the shop window. Archie Thompson as well is doing pretty well next to him. He did get a call up for the recent game against Qatar, but they're two very handy strikers, and they've got a telepathic understanding, which has really been the basis for Melbourne victory right from the first ball that was kicked in this Hyundai A-League.
Well, that's certainly true, and they're prompted by a couple of very tidy players in midfield. We're seeing Billy Selewski coming through and really growing into the player that his potential said might be the case, and Carlos Hernandez, of course, back from suspension. This is a huge tonic for the visitors today. There are, in my opinion, a few better players in the Hyundai A-League.
Well, it's not just about the front three, it's about the front five in an attacking sense for Melbourne victory. They play one screener and then everyone else is encouraged to get forward. They play those nice little triangles. They play short balls through the middle. They maybe don't go wide as much as some other teams hitting that byline. They go probably their crosses from a bit deeper. That's certainly a tactic of Ernie Merrick's, but not many teams can play the ball to feet at the speed that Melbourne victory do in heavy traffic and get the result they do. And this is the guy with all the skills, all the touches, plays with a smile on his face, wonderful player, and we're privileged to have him in our competition.
He certainly brings that joy de vivre to the Melbourne victory, doesn't he? And it's the style of play with Luis behind him, Jose Luis, who's not playing because of the 40-hour transit back from World Cup duty. But Grant Brebner is a like-for-like replacement, so we should expect Hernandez this evening to do exactly what he's done all season so far and provide the bullets for Allsop and Thompson.
I think he will. But what has happened with Carlos Hernandez, which is what happens with most imports when they get to this competition, is they learn that they have to roll their sleeves up and work as well. And he's a lot fitter than he was last year. He's a lot more aware of what he has to do off the ball. He does give Brebner support. I thought when Jose Luis Lopez first came into the side, I thought the two Costa Ricans maybe spent too much time too close to each other, and Carlos got a bit too caught up in all that and didn't get forward enough. I think he's now getting back to his normal game. He had a little bit of a hamstring problem going into this match. He's cleared that issue. He didn't go away and play for his national team. He's fit and raring to go.
All right, well, the Newcastle boys going around wishing each other all the best as they need to do. This is a very tight unit. Edmundo Zura centre screen there, just going through his pensive final moments. Matt Thompson, well, what a soldier he's been for the Newcastle Jets, and plenty of leadership required from him. The visitors' dressing room, well, two of their senior statesmen, Danny Allsop and Ronnie Vargas, the final preparations. We can expect plenty of fireworks here at the Energy Australia Stadium. It's an absolutely beautiful setting here in Newcastle. The stadium is ready to go. We have only 3 teams that have won the Hyundai A-League, and 2 are about to do battle. Newcastle are undefeated at home this season, but need to win here today, surely. Melbourne, though, will be very tough opponents, and their road form has been very, very good. Kick-off between the Jets and the Victory is next.
The time has arrived for the champions to make a statement against the team many believe are the champions-elect. It's the low-flying Jets against the high-fiving Victory, the home team looking to atone for their 5-goal defeat the last time these two teams met. Well, Melbourne haven't lost on the road. Newcastle haven't won at home. Is tonight the night the Jets get their title defence back on track? It's a gorgeous evening here in the Hunter Valley of New South Wales, and the Jets against the Victory. Let's check the lineup, starting with the home team. Ante Kovic in goals. He sits behind a back four of Tarek Elrich, Joe Wheelhouse, Jade North is the number 3 and captain, and Matt Thompson back to left back. James Ben Kantarowski is on the right-hand side of the midfield diamond, which has Adam Griffiths at the base, Jesper Hutchinson at the top, and young James Holland on the left-hand side. And it's a front two for the first time. The Ecuadorian Edmundo Zura, partnered by exciting youngster Marko Jesic, who's making his starting debut.
For this evening's visitors, Melbourne Victory, it's a return to the team from suspension in goal. Michael Theoklitos, a back four, flanked by Matthew Kemp. In the middle, it's the ever-reliable Roddy Vargas and the very experienced Kevin Muscat. At left fullback, Evan Berger completes the defensive unit. 3 midfielders, Billy Selesky on the right, the central position, Grant Brebner, and on the left-hand side, it's another return from suspension, Carlos Hernandez, the Costa Rican international. Up front, Tommy Pondoliak. In the centre, Archie Thompson, and on the left, Danny Allsop. For Melbourne, it's a 4-3-3.
We're getting close to kick-off here at the Energy Australia Stadium. Matthew Breeze leading the two teams out from their dressing rooms. Well, the Jets have generally had a good record against Melbourne, but their pride was certainly stung by that last start 5-0 defeat at the Telstra Dome. Revenge certainly is a motivation. Kevin Muscat, the skipper for the Victory. Jade North, the skipper for the home team. Decent crowd in as well, including a contingent, a healthy contingent of Melbourne Victory supporters. Well, it's Gary Van Egmont's 50th game as Jets coach, but the worst ever start to a title defence has tarnished the milestone. The man they call Dutchie is hoping his luck is about to change. It's the Jets against the Victory, and it's up next. Stadium. It's a perfect spring evening here in the Hunter. The current temperature 19 degrees, humidity 65%, the wind from the north at 28 kilometres an hour. Well, the Victory fans hoping that their side will continue its wonderful start to the season. Gary Van Egmont certainly hoping his team can start winning games at home. That is the prerequisite, of course, of a title-winning side. On the bench for the Jets, some big names there. Joel Griffiths back from injury. The Korean Song Jin Hyung, Adam DePuzzo, and the second keeper is Ben Kennedy.
Make some noise, Jets fans!
For the Melbourne Victory, also some reputations available for Ernie Merrick if he wants to use them. Michael Thwaite, the Socceroo. Lee Broxham, a Socceroo fringe player. Nick Ward also worn the green and gold. Second keeper is Mitchell Langerak. Referee tonight, Matthew Breeze, just back from World Cup duty in South Korea. Back in domestic action in the Hyundai A-League. And of course, don't forget, you can also catch this game on high definition on Fox Sports HD. Newcastle get the ball rolling. They haven't won at home this season, as we have mentioned. Melbourne Victory haven't lost on the road. Andy Harper, is it going to go according to form? Or is this D-Day for Newcastle Jets?
Well, neither of those things, Mike. I don't think it's D-Day. It's too early to be...
You couldn't disagree with me more?
I couldn't disagree with you more, Michael. They've got a tough one today, and
Well, this is a bright start from Melbourne, and Thompson attacking defenders as he does so well.
But I do think that teams like to play the top teams in the competition, and Newcastle are looking to really kick-start their season. We've been saying it the last couple of rounds, but there have been signs of life in the defending champions, and what better way than to find your form against the hottest team in the country at the moment.
Well, Melbourne have earned themselves a corner 30 seconds into the match. It's going to be delivered by Billy Selesky. Talked already about Newcastle's slow start to their matches. They'll be watchful here, and it comes from Selesky. Not the best of deliveries, though. And now a chance for the Dane Jesper Haakonsen, looking for the Ecuadorian Edmundo Zura, who's done well to get in front of the defender, Evan Berger. Good work from Zura. Haakonsen saved point blank by Theoklitos. And then a misunderstanding between two Newcastle players, one of which was young Marko Jesic. Zura, what an immediate impact from the Ecuadorian. Decent cross as well. Well, he's had a haircut from his coach, hasn't he, during the week? Edmundo Zura. And he might have heeded the message. Bright start.
Well, his last start here against Wellington on that long weekend Monday was his best offering. Gary Van Egmond has let fly this week at training in the press. Zura seems to have heeded the call. It's exactly what the Newcastle boss will be after. An awesomely powerful run from defence into attack. And a good chance for Newcastle. Forced a good save from Theoklitos, did Jesper Haakonsen.
Selesky. Thompson's made the mistake. I should say, actually, Thompson's picked it up. Matt Thompson made the mistake. I'll clarify that. Archie Thompson, I'm sure, a trifle disappointed that he didn't get on the team sheet or wasn't involved against Qatar midweek in that World Cup qualifier. We'll get some consolation with the fact that he was at least back in the squad. Clearly still has a lot of proving to do to the national coach, Pim Verbeek. Tony Merrick also making mention yesterday that he felt Thompson should have been involved. And they may be having a little bit of a dig, a very slight dig at Verbeek for his continuing
You'd expect a club coach to go,
overlooking of A-League players.
You'd expect a club coach to go into bat for his players. That's all that Merrick did. Verbeek would expect no less. He'd do the same if the roles were reversed, I'm sure.
Here's Matt Thompson. Attacks Billy Selesky, comes inside, works it onto the right boot, shapes for the shot. Holland goes back post. Jesic going to head it down to Thompson. Berger playing on the left-hand side for Melbourne. Arguably one of Melbourne's best against Perth Glory. A couple of weeks ago, Evan Berger. Here's Brebner. Well worked by Melbourne. Now space for Kemp. He attacks the line. Kantarovski's done pretty well. Atkinson's left it short. There's some room for Zura. Well, he's playing two up front tonight, Gary Van Egmond, partly because he believes that Edmundo Zura will show us his full potential with someone a bit closer to him. He's felt that he's been a little bit isolated in the games he's played so far.
Maybe the case, but the first two offerings from him have been exactly the type of form I'd expect Van Egmond is after from him, whether he's playing with support or not. Just fabulous power, which is what we're expecting him to bring to the Hyundai A-League. It's taken him a while to find his feet, but the early signs this evening are good.
Thompson. Matt Thompson. That's come off Muscat. It will be a Newcastle corner.
And the general signs for Newcastle are good. It's been a very lively start by them, not leaving anything to chance. They're going to try and pin Melbourne back as quickly as they can and not allow the top team in the country, according to the league table, to get into any sort of rhythm. They've had the best opening so far, have the home team.
Corner swung to the edge of the box. Jesic with the contact. Hasn't been properly cleared. So the ball from Thompson. Hutchinson should keep it in play. Jesper Hutchinson, another player who's been put on notice by Gary Van Egmond. Adam Griffiths with a shot on the turn.
It's good stuff.
And that's taken a deflection.
Melbourne are scrambling. And good teams scramble well, and they're having to at the moment, Melbourne, because Newcastle have them under the hammer. 3 corners already, the game only 6.5 minutes old. Hutchinson, great strength in the combat with Evan Berger. Set up a good situation for Newcastle. Griffiths shooting on the turn, and now they have the corner as a result.
Well, there are 4 gold shirts waiting to make that run from the edge of the box. One of them is Kantarovski, spilled by Theoklitos, blocked. An important block it was from Grant Brebner, as Adam Griffiths looked to force home the rebound. Very, very good spell this from Newcastle.
Well, again, the corner came in through traffic. It was on the back stick where Newcastle found space. Joe Wheelhouse causing trouble. That's the foul on Tarek Elrich from Archie Thompson. Hutchinson again on the set piece.
Nice height on the delivery. I think it was Adam Griffiths who got the last contact. Chance for Melbourne to relieve the pressure. They don't have a good record here, Melbourne Victory. They've only won 1 game here. Their worst ever defeat was here as well in the round 21 of season 06-07, a 4-0 loss to the Jets. Indeed, Newcastle have a higher winning percentage against Melbourne than any other team in this competition, a 50% win ratio. Of course, the last start told a different story. It was touched on before the game, that 5-0 defeat at the Telstra Dome. Zaleski. Berger. Well, that's what Danny Allsop's all about. Just works so hard off the ball. Hernandez. Good scrambling play by Jade North. Berger. Hernandez. Zaleski. Forcing the save from Kovic.
Again, nicely worked from Melbourne. Anything Newcastle can do, we can do as well. And it started, as you pointed out, with Danny Allsop. Turned defence into attack with his work rate up front. And from that work of Allsop, did Melbourne manage to string some passes and get a good shot on goal. It's the work that strikers do, such as that last contribution from Danny Allsop, that the highlights reels don't often feature, but it's what sets up plenty of attacks.
Joint top goal scorer in the competition at the moment, Danny Allsop, alongside Shane Smelt. 6 goals so far in 7 games. We're told the assistant Australian coach Henk Doot is among the fans here tonight. Maybe Ante Kovic will feel he has a little bit of a point to prove, having lost his spot in the Socceroos squad. Pretty much an ever-present throughout the Verbeek campaign, Ante Kovic. Thompson. It's good work from Pondeliak. some. Zura. Well, he's looking for space, Edmundo Zura. That's the starting point. A lot more mobile than we've seen him so far. North. Jade North. There is the assistant Australian coach, Hank Dooch, of the match program. I wonder who's getting a red line through their name and who's getting an asterisk. Of course, we do know that a number of A-League players will be required for next year's Asian Cup campaign, even if they're not getting too many opportunities in the World Cup campaign. Good tempo so far in this match. 11 and a half minutes gone. Bright start from both teams. Very attack-minded, the way they've been set up. Wheelhouse goes long, looking for Zura. Good use of the body by Vargas. 56% of the ball so far with the home team. That's an encouraging statistic for Gary Van Egmond. There have been a couple of half chances as well. Great ball by Pondeliak. And Danny Allsop with the chance in the end, but just enough pressure applied by Matt Thompson.
A very good recovery run from Matt Thompson. It was Jade North who got the bearings wrong. Beautifully flighted ball. That terrific pressure from Matt Thompson. You'd fancy Danny Allsop, if he had his time again, would have killed that ball with the inside of his right foot and perhaps opened the goal up for a left-footed shot.
It's emboldened Melbourne victory. Here's Allsop. That's going to be a Melbourne corner.
And again, great work from Allsop. Not harbouring any regret, certainly in the short term, about that last chance. But working the 1-2 on the edge of the box, forcing the corner. You just can't rest as a defender when Danny Allsop's around. The same principle when Joel Griffiths is playing up front for Newcastle. Constant harassment of defenders.
He's the money man for Melbourne at the moment in terms of goals, Danny Allsop. Corner played short by Evan Berger. Goes back post. Important touch from Jade North. A little bit of an injury doubt going into the match. Jade North, a hamstring problem picked up in camp with the Australian squad. Big boost for Gary Van Egmond that his influential and inspirational skipper was available for a match of this importance. Variation from the victory. And it's not the best of variations at all.
And again, the point there, not so much that Hernandez hit high wide and not very handsome, but he sensed that Edmundo Zura was closing in from his blind side. You can see the pace there made. Hutchinson from the front and Zura from the back. It's been a feature in the opening 15 minutes. The work of people off the ball to close down opportunities and to force errors. And you know you've got a game with good tempo when that's happening.
Shouldered off the ball by Marko Jesic was Evan Berger. Marko Jesic came through the AAS with the likes of James Holland. Getting his chance now. Gary Van Egmond has massive raps on this young striker. He has already, though, had 2 knee reconstructions. Both knees have been reconstructed. Not the best of starts to a professional football career. He's come back from that adversity. He gets his big opportunity here tonight. Wheelhouse. Zura.
That's outstanding work. It's Ecuador v Chile in the A-League. Roddy Vargas has been one of the best players since the competition started. There's tremendous work there from Zura. Didn't know a lot about it, but it was the way he got his body into the contest, and fortune favoured him from that point on.
Well, supposedly he doesn't speak English and therefore doesn't read English and therefore hasn't read the papers this week, but I dare say he's well aware of what his coach has been saying going into this match. Edmundo Zura, he's been around long enough to know when opportunities are knocking. He'll know that he needs a big one here for the Jets. He's already lost his marquee player status for next season. He's on loan from his second division club in Ecuador. And if he is to stay, he will certainly have to take a pay cut of some description. But he wants to get a goal. Hasn't scored yet for the Jets. Tonight is the night for Edmundo Zura. Zaleski. Also with a good run off the ball. Was he checked by Wheelhouse? Didn't complain too loudly. Hutchinson working well as Zura. Maybe the reverse psychology of Gary Van Egmond is working with his two imports. Third one on the bench, Song Jin Hyung. Thompson. Holland leaves it for Griffiths. Now Elrich with space in front of him. Continues his run. It's Berger who's got the better of Tarek Elrich, and there was a tug on the shirts, well spotted by the referee. And Tarek Elrich needs to be careful. He is sitting on a suspension. He's already had 4 yellow cards this season. Tarek Elrich, one more, and he'll have to spend a week on the sidelines.
It's a clear free kick. He just overran it. It was a good situation building for Newcastle. Tremendous fluency. The Tarek Elrich of season 4 is not taking any rubbish from anyone.
Wonderful development, though. He hadn't picked up a single yellow card until this season. He's already got 4 in 7 games.
Well, he's winning a lot of admirers, Tarek Elrich. Just his development has been so demonstrable.
Again, good work by Zura at the point. Great ball by Kantarovski. Holland a bit slow to react. Miscue by Jesic, and a save by Theoklitos, and what a save it was.
Excellent save by Michael Theoklitos, who had to rebalance himself. I'm sure the miskick from Jesic threw Theoklitos off his bearing, but just so sharp to regain his position for the second save, which was a corker. James Holland attracting 4 defenders. The miskick, you can see there. Theoklitos playing them at the air swing and then resetting himself, and in the end it was a wonderful save.
Corner comes in, Theoklitos gets both hands to the ball, driven back in by Thompson. Kantarovski, Holland, North, Hutchinson, it's a pinball, now Wheelhouse. And the end result is a goal kick for Melbourne.
Well, they're doing everything but score at the moment, Newcastle. It's been a very enterprising opening 20 minutes. Melbourne have had their moments. There's no doubt a couple of nice, fluent attacks, but
two very good saves with Theoklitos.
Excellent saves. And Newcastle, which will encourage them, is that they've had a very good side of goal. They haven't been half chances. They've forged some really good openings when they've had a clear side of the target. It's a really good foundation on which to build.
Back in the side tonight, Michael Theoklitos after suspension. Mitchell Langrak did his cause no harm during Theoklitos' absence, and I dare say Theoklitos is now well aware that the pressure is increasing from his understudy Mitchell Langrak, who was one of 3 players to re-sign with Melbourne Victory during the week. The others, Evan Berger and Roddy Vargas, and Vargas, I know, had plenty of other offers around the competition. Has decided to stay loyal to his hometown club. Tony Merrick making the point, in fact, that all 3 players probably could have got better money elsewhere if they stayed with Melbourne, because the type of club it is. He would say that, wouldn't he? There's certainly some merit in that argument. A very professional operation, Melbourne victory. Griffiths. Now Holland. As always, the support is there from Elrich. Early ball in is disappointing from Tarek Elrich.
Now, well, it's the first disappointing end to a move from Newcastle. And they've really made it count in the final third without scoring. And it's the first time that they've let the pressure off, really. Tarek Elrich, of course, committed that foul against Evan Berger the last time he was involved, so I guess you could include that as well. But very, very heartening performance for the home fans, and they appreciate their football here at Energy Australia Stadium. You can feel the buzz around the ground. They're warming to what the team is looking to achieve. They know what they're seeing and they like what they're seeing.
Good touch from Jesic. Hutchinson. Extra commitment shown there by Kevin Muscat. Jesper Hutchinson playing as the number 10 for the Jets, even though he's got the number 6 on his back. Sitting in behind the front two of Zura and Jesic. Carlos Hernandez is back from suspension. He also had a hamstring problem, which was the reason he didn't join the Costa Rican squad for their last two World Cup qualifiers. Teammate Jose Luis Lopez did make the trip to the Caribbean. Costa Rica winning both matches against Suriname and Haiti. They're through to the final round of their World Cup qualifying campaign in CONCACAF. Lopez only returned to rejoin the squad 5 hours ago, and not surprisingly, Ernie Merrick deciding it wasn't worth the risk, putting him on the team sheet. Zura, nice feet. Ball in, Jesic. Hutchinson, Jesic! Again, the young man tests the goalkeeper, Theoklitos.
He looks the goods, doesn't he? He caught the eye off the bench at Wellington Phoenix match last start. Terrific awareness to bounce the ball first time into the path. Look at that. To Hutchinson, adjusting to come off from there, but he was Johnny on the spot to hook a left-footed shot. Theoklitos had to be sharp again.
Well, it breaks here for Pondeljac. Tommy Pondeljac got plenty behind the shot. He didn't get over it.
And that was a good situation for the visitors. 24 minutes in, you can't take your eyes away from the action because there's plenty of it. Very direct from Melbourne, just off balance was Tom Pondeljac. But it did sit up nicely for him.
Zura again contesting. He's a different player tonight, Edmundo Zura. Let's see if he can last the distance. His match fitness has also been a problem for him. Elrich, better ball. Jesic with a header, looking to loop it into the back post. Good awareness again. He's got goal awareness, this young man.
Well, I like the position he took up on the back stick. It was Tarek Elrich with a beautiful cross. Gee, that had a nice flight on it. And Jesic again, just peeling out into the space available. He's showing good maturity. Header obviously didn't come off the way he'd perhaps envisaged. Another good action from Newcastle. The time will come when they'll start to get dirty on themselves for not capitalising. They're very buoyant at the moment, the Jets.
Thompson stripped it out of the game a little bit in the last 10 minutes or so, Archie Thompson. We're always tempting fate when we say that. Here's Brebner with a shot, and it had plenty of power as well from the Scotsman, Grant Brebner.
And that's the sign of a team in form. They've been second best so far in this game, but that's not because they've been poor. It just shows a team full of confidence, as Melbourne are, when they scrap together and make an opening, and they get a good side of goal themselves.
There's Jesic. Zura makes room for the shot, and another positive sign from the Ecuadorian.
Just on the selections tonight, Zura's obviously had a rocket put under him, Hutchinson as well, and Van Egmond, as part of those public comments suggesting that Zura can maybe give us 65 or 70 minutes. Pre-game we hear that Joel Griffiths is probably ready for 30 minutes, so you do the maths. And he'll be the battering ram, and he's been a very exciting one so far, and Melbourne are hopefully softened up. This will be Van Egmond's view, I'm presuming. On to come Joel Griffiths and perhaps Son Jin Hyung. Newcastle stay in the game till that point, and will be a very good option off the bench, or two options off the bench.
Here's Kemp. Now Zaleski. Adam Griffiths playing in the holding role for the Jets. Plenty of speculation about his future. Plenty of it suggesting he might be heading up the Pacific Highway to the next club in the A-League. Work that one out. Not too far across the Queensland border, shall we say.
Which club wouldn't want Adam Griffiths on their books? Including this one, Newcastle, where he's won a championship.
Of course, his brother Joel is the new marquee player for the Jets, but Joel making the point when he signed that Adam was very much his own man and would be making his own decisions about his future. Zura under the high ball. Theokhlitos has missed it. And for some reason, that's a foul on the keeper. I'd suggest a pretty generous decision by Matthew Breeze.
I tend to agree with you there, but you wouldn't expect any different from me. Zura has eyes for the ball there, perhaps with his arm out. And Breeze, in fairness, I think got that one right in the end. It's that right arm. It's the opening up of the arms which has given him up.
Matthew Breeze is back from World Cup duty in Asia. He refereed South Korea's win against the UAE on Wednesday night, a 4-1 win for South Korea. Zura's ball into the near post. Again, the Victory is scrambling pretty well. There's no doubt, though, the momentum is with the home team.
Elrich asking the question. And it was Hernandez who brought down the young Newcastle flyer. Hutchinson will take.
Maybe a cork there for Elrich. It's just below the knee, in fact. The left knee.
It was onto the knee of Hernandez as well.
So it was a bit painful.
They do not tickle. And Melbourne struggling to get control of the ball, particularly in the centre of midfield. It's been all Newcastle, apart from a couple of good attacks from Melbourne, and that's what Merrick will be most concerned about.
Jets fans, I'm sure, pretty happy with what they've seen so far, but they want a goal. Hutchinson's free kick. Free header for Adam Griffiths. I'm not sure what happened there. He seemed to lose the flight of the ball. Did it take a touch just before it arrived? He was certainly in good space.
A fabulous position here, Adam Griffiths. Perhaps he just lost his footing there. Lost sight of the ball. Whatever, it went wrong for Newcastle.
Newcastle have scored just 7 goals this season and only 1 in the first half of their 7 matches. I wonder if that's weighing on the mind of Gary Van Egmond. Very positive performance so far. Created half chances. They've tested Theokhlitos twice. They haven't got the goal perhaps their lead-up play has deserved. Thompson. work from Kantarowski. Zura, the back heel. Kantarowski continues his run. Delightful play. Jesic, Hutchinson, blocked by Vargas, and that is a penalty, says Matthew Breeze.
Well, it's a slick machine tonight, Newcastle. And there'll be discussion. Roddy Vargas will over about the actual nature of the penalty, but the work down the left-hand side between Kantarowski, firstly, to give Newcastle a hope of attacking the goal, with a beautiful slide of foot just on halfway. And there's Hutchinson. Right onto Vargas, as Vargas looked to pull his arms away.
It's Edmundo Zura who's going to accept the responsibility of taking the penalty. Theoklitos stands between Edmundo Zura and his first goal in the Hyundai A-League. And he's hit the post. Edmundo Zura has hit the post with his penalty kick, and the drought continues for the Ecuadorian.
Well, they've done so well, Newcastle. They've won the ascendancy. They won the penalty. He didn't muck around with it either. He had Theoklitos beaten, and that post will haunt Newcastle. They've deserved the lead. They haven't yet got it.
Well, now we're going to see the character of Edmundo Zura.
We are, but they need, if they need a snapshot to encourage them. Beautiful work, Kantarowski and Zura down the left-hand side. Teams will find it very difficult to defend against that. Newcastle can maintain this frame of mind.
He's drawing a lot of fouls, Tarek Ulrich, with his positive play. And another corner for the Jets.
Well, they've had a reprieve, Melbourne, but on balance, a team that has been under enormous pressure has defended like real title aspirants would. Scrambled well, got their body in the way. Roddy Vargas illegally, according to Matthew Breeze, on that second but last attack. What a contest. 33 minutes of gripping action.
Another corner for the Jets. Driven in by Hutchinson. Here's Jesic. Kantarowski. Hutchinson. It's enough room for the cross. It hangs in the air. Jesic gets contact. Kemp does very well indeed, under enormous pressure. But look at that ball played forward by Melbourne. No one is there for the victory. That just tells the story of the way this game is unfolding. The victory set back on their heels, playing very deep in their own half. It's been relentless pressure from Newcastle. And for the moment, the victory are holding on just. Zura needs to get that missed penalty out of his mind. Easier said than done, of course. Here's Thompson. Attacks the space in behind Zaleski. Zura. The ball in for Elrich. But again, Zaleski looks up the park and sees very few options. Credit here Newcastle, the way they're applying pressure on the ball. Jesic. Hutchinson. Appeals for handball again.
Ooh, that was
bigger appeals for handball. It's come off Musket. And Jesper Hutchinson goes into the notebook for his protests.
Well, I thought that was more a penalty than the first one. You mustn't protest despite the frustration. The referees, by and large, have been very good at enforcing that. Matthew Breeze reckons it hit the shoulder. That was the view of the referee. Fair enough. Well, I would love to see if Matthew Breeze's view was the accurate one. Hutchinson lifting the ball up.
Well,
it's a dead set handball on Matthew Kemp.
Strong challenge from Griffiths, who doesn't like the afters from Danny Allsop. It's getting a little bit testy all of a sudden.
Well, Breeze and Allsop, Breeze has already had a chat to the two of those players. There's no aggro between the two, just fierce competitors. But Matthew Breeze has already had reason to call both in.
Wheelhouse. Always a threat in the air, Adam Griffiths.
Well, this is, as far as I've watched the season develop, Mike, this is Newcastle's best period in a football match. Here's the handball from Harkinson. Matthew Kemp's arm is up. It hits it on the arm. Matthew Breeze's view suggested that it hit the shoulder. You've got to go with the ref's view, even though that was a wrong one, in my opinion. But this is the first time they've looked to play in the Stuart Michalik Newcastle of last year. Adam Griffiths is the man tonight. From defence, the ball ferried into the centre of midfield, and Griffiths most often, then spreading the ball wide, and Newcastle are away.
Ulrich does well to get away from Allsop. Talk about a player at the top of his game. Holland's cross. Here's Vargas. Switch of play, picks out Zaleski. Haven't got their passing game going as yet. Melbourne victory. Here's Hernandez. 75% of the ball in the last 5 minutes. Well, that is domination, whichever way you look at it. They've missed one penalty, should have had another. None of that, of course, will count for much unless Newcastle gets something out of the game. They want to win here, Newcastle. They won't even be content with the draw. The 3 draws at home so far this season. They need a breakthrough victory against the victory.
Well, they keep coming. The missed penalty and then the not awarded penalty hasn't dented their enthusiasm.
Cross again. Just cleared the head of Jesic. That's come off. Gee, that's come off very top of Kevin Muscat's head. 20 balls into the box from Newcastle Jets. They keep coming in. And they keep getting change out of them as well. Berger.
Well, Melbourne just simply not allowed to settle on the ball. It's been a thoroughly impressive first half from Newcastle. And I must say, thoroughly impressive from Melbourne's defensive unit. They've had to scramble and scrape. And they've managed to keep a clean sheet, thanks largely to the missed penalty. But the half-time focus will be trying to get the attack clicking into gear.
Zaleski. Now, shall not pass, says Adam Griffiths. Here's Hutchinson. Delightful ball from the Dane, and Jesic just beaten to the punch by Matty Kemp.
Again, but it's the position Jesic takes off. He rolls off a shoulder beautifully, then gets on the blind side of a defender as the defender's watching the flight of the ball. And they know that they have to make a play on that ball because the youngster has taken up such an aggressive position.
Zura. I think he's won a corner there, Edmundo Zura. The referee's seen it the other way.
Good battle, real good battle between those two, Zura and Roddy Vargas. Whole of the ball must go out, and that's a line ball one. I reckon it probably was a corner.
Swivel of the hips there from Edmundo Zura. Has played for his national team. There's plenty of football in front of him. He did say on his arrival that he was told by the Ecuadorian coaching staff that his chances wouldn't be harmed unnecessarily by playing in Australia. Of course, he's a long way from the squad of Ecuador at the moment. But I dare say if he gets some form under his belt here, he may get a sniff. Here's Jesic, and he's squaring up for Zura, and that's another corner for Newcastle.
Well, they will be wondering where 40 minutes have gone, Newcastle, and they haven't managed to score. Their fifth corner. Plenty of good attacking moves. Good sights of the goal. Nothing to show for it yet. Theoklitos, one of the main reasons.
Parkinson's corner hangs in the air. Jesic and Zura attack the same ball.
Been outstanding, Griffiths. With the way he nipped in there. Selesky and Hernandez working a 1-2. Well read by Griffiths. He's done that job beautifully, as well as his distribution tonight.
Here's Podolyak. Allsop will go for goal, and he almost squeezed it through inside that far post. Didn't need a second invitation, Danny Allsop.
Those protestations from Allsop, but there was a slight hint of a deflection from a Newcastle player there, which would have meant a corner for Melbourne. They're done with something like that at this point.
Holland. Now a chance for Hernandez to use up the space. He overplayed his hand. The better ball was just inside to Vargas. It's broken down again for the victory, who are essentially camped in their own half. But for all this pressure, the Jets haven't yet scored, and you can see why Melbourne have the best defence in the competition. Good ball from Zura, and it was Kandarovski who was attacking the cross.
Well, Zura has been outstanding, quite simply, in this first half. So it's a beautiful ball. The way he set Evan Berger up there with the taunt and the drop of the hips and a burst of pace over 2 metres. Geez, they're in a game this evening, Melbourne. Don't they know it?
Holland. Asking a little bit too much of Edmundo Zura there. Nothing's going right for Melbourne. Even the quick free kick taken there by Grant Brebner was well read by the Jets. They'll be pretty happy to see that half-time break, I'm sure, the victory. Get a breather, get some liquid into them and regroup. Thompson. Well, who else but Adam Griffiths? Podolyak looking for Selesky, and it was Matty Thompson who did just enough there to put off Billy Selesky. We're inside the final minute of regulation time. The big surprise is that we haven't seen a goal. Thoroughly entertaining first half of football here at the Energy Australia Stadium.
Time added on, 1 minute.
Just a minute to be added on to the first half. First half which has flown by. edge. Muscat will try and shepherd this one away from the danger. Kemp up to the halfway line. Well, the Newcastle Jets have been the dominant side everywhere except the scoreboard. It's been a very positive first half performance from the home team. Edmundo Zurek came the closest. His penalty striking the base of the upright. They might have had another penalty as well, the Jets. It's been a wonderful first half from the home team, but Melbourne Victory still in the contest. They've scrambled well in defence at half-time here at the Energy Australia Stadium. It's the Jets nil, the Victory nil. Welcome back to Energy Australia Stadium. It was a scoreless first half between the Jets and the Victory, but not much has gone wrong for the home team. All they need is a goal. They came very close. The penalty from Edmundo Zura coming back off the base of the upright. Gary Van Eggerman, I am sure, is thrilled to bits with the performance his team produced in that opening 45 minutes against the league leaders. But Melbourne Victory, write them off at your peril. They're not on the top of the competition for nothing. Billy Selesky getting some treatment there. They have been tired and wounded by that Newcastle performance in the first half, but they know they're still very much in this contest. These are the stats and what's been an exciting first half of football. The Jets, not surprisingly, with the bulk of possession, a lot more time in the opposition half as well, 59% to 41. They've had 5 corners to 3, no offsides in the game, 13 fouls, a yellow card apiece. Well, we talked about what a dominant performance it was from Newcastle in the first half. They got off to a good start. 2 minutes gone. Jesper Harkinson after some great lead-up work from Edmundo Zura.
Well, it's a story of the first half. Zura just out of the blocks from defending a corner. He led the charge in attack on counter-attack, and Harkinson. Both the imports have been much better today. Zura simply outstanding. Theokotos, a good save.
Well, they weren't to be dissuaded, Newcastle Jets. Matty Thompson cutting inside. His shot deflected away by Kevin Muscat.
And Thompson's been prominent as well, pushing down on the left-hand side and most often coming in on his right foot. A good shot on goal there. Very good sequence for Newcastle.
Well, young Marko Jesic has been given his starting debut here tonight, and he's put in a pretty good shift.
He's been very, very impressive. This is a deep corner. It was Jesic who got a good header downward. Theokotos could only parry, and the crumbs were cleared again by Melbourne.
2 minutes later, the Victory with a chance of their own. Billy Selesky.
Well, they were giving as good as they got in the early stages of that first half, Melbourne. After being under pressure early, they worked the ball to Selesky. He got a good side, a nice piece on it, but very sharp to his right was Ante Kovic.
And Danny Allsop, who's the joint top goal scorer in the competition, might have done better after this wonderful through ball from Tommy Pontiac.
He'll be frustrated, Danny Allsop, when he sees this again, but credit the defending from Matt Thompson, who didn't give Allsop a second to reconsider.
From that moment on, though, it was all Newcastle. They came and they came and they came, but they couldn't find a way through.
Well, James Holland's burst attracted 4 defenders, and the worst effort from Jesic was the air swing, but it worked out so nicely. Look at the angled ball from Kandarovski. Here's another young player who's impressed again. Jesic with the air swing, but then the second chance, Theokotos repositioned himself beautifully. Good save.
Well, Jesic again, 24 minutes into the game. Lovely layoff, gets it back from Hutchinson.
Well, he keeps knocking on the door, and sooner or later the door will open for Marko Jesic rather. And again, it's Zura, the provider. Beautiful touch to Hutchinson, and his effort falling at the feet of the youngster. And again, Theokotos had to be sharp.
1 minute later, yes, it was Marko Jesic again.
There's been so much about his first half which has been impressive. The way he's linked up with his teammates and the way he's peeled off the shoulder of defenders into some space is another good example. The header didn't go as he would have liked, but good passage of play. This is the best sequence of the match. It resulted in the penalty. Ben Kandarovski on halfway started that with a beautiful slide of foot. Linked up with Zura. The Jets were away. It was Hutchinson's shot, which was defended by the desperate Roddy Vargas. Matthew Breeze had no hesitation on that occasion. And Zura couldn't capitalise.
Zura against the post. Scant reward for Newcastle's performance in the first half and his own efforts as well. Theokotos not required to make a save. And disappointment there for Marko Jesic, who's still looking for his first Hyundai A-League goal. These are the attack stats, dominated by Newcastle, 13 shots to 6, 4 shots on target, just the one from the Melbourne Victory. Look at that, balls into the penalty area. 23, would you believe it or not, from Newcastle. Their crossing tonight has been fabulous, just a 6 from the Melbourne Victory. 4 saves made by Michael Theocritos, 2 very good ones, and the Jets have hit the woodwork once. Of course, that was the penalty by Edmundo Zura. No goals at half-time here at the Energy Australia Stadium. I'm sure plenty more action to come for the fans in the second half, as indeed there is for the fans elsewhere in the Hyundai A-League tomorrow. 2 more games coming your way, a doubleheader starting with the Mariners against the Phoenix from the Blue Tongue Stadium at Gosford. Our coverage from 2:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1. And then we go across to the other side of the country, a wounded Perth Glory. They've had crisis meetings, they've had all sorts of discussions. They host Sydney FC, desperate to get something going in terms of their season. That match from the Members Equity Stadium from 5 p.m. Eastern tomorrow on Fox Sports 1. Of course, the big one, the one we're all talking about in terms of club football, Adelaide United with a 3-goal cushion from the first leg head to Tashkent in Uzbekistan in the semi-final of the AFC Champions League. It's Kurovchi against Adelaide from the MHSK Stadium, live Wednesday 11:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 3, and of course a place in the final is up for grabs. Well, the Jets fans have had everything but a goal. Will it come in the second half? We'll find out in just a moment. Well, he looks a young man in a hurry, doesn't he? Marko Jesic, he's making his starting debut in the Hyundai A-League for the Newcastle Jets, and after 45 minutes, he's certainly caught the eye in partnership with the Ecuadorian Edmundo Zura. He's had his setbacks, he's had 2 knee reconstructions, but he's now on his way in a big way. Marko Jesic. So we're back live here at the Energy Australia Stadium, but of course stay with us after the match. We'll have a half-an-hour post-game show with Andy Harper and myself. If you want to have something to say, enter the fan zone and give us your comments, maybe on Marko Jesic, foxsports.com.au/football. Of course, this is also the UNICEF round in the Hyundai A-League. Each club has a UNICEF ambassador. We'll go down to Mel McLaughlin. She's talking with the Jets UNICEF ambassador, Noel Spencer.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Noel, it's been an important week for you guys, obviously. UNICEF is an important cause. What have you had to do this week?
Yeah, I think the club's embraced it, and it's a good organisation, for underprivileged kids, and we've done our best this week, and it's for a good cause.
Now, what about the game? Is it fair to say it's a lot more confident Newcastle side out there today?
Yeah, very much so. I think obviously last time we played these guys, we got a football lesson 5-0. So I didn't think much needed to be said for the game tonight, but the boys are playing fantastic.
Do you expect to see Joel soon?
I think so, yeah, probably the next 15-20 minutes.
Thanks a lot, Noel.
Cheers.
Not a bad player to have in reserve, is he, Joel Griffiths? Also, Song Jin Hyun, plenty of attacking armoury available for Gary Van Egmond if these players can't find a goal.
There's no doubt. You're always nervous, though, with a player coming back from a calf or a hamstring injury. You're just never sure if you should give them that extra week. But, of course, the situation at Melbourne at Newcastle is that Van Egmond doesn't feel he has that luxury to wait another week, and it'll be very interesting to see if and when he injects Joel Griffiths into the firing line, because Zura's done well, Jesic has done very well, and it's Melbourne who go to the bench first. Michael Thwaite is on the sideline. He will come on. We'll just wait for confirmation. Looks like Matthew Kemp has not returned to the field, so that'll be a straight swap in the defence. Kemp for Michael Thwaite. So it's Ernie Merrick, as we expected, who had to adjust. Newcastle would be very, very happy with that first half. More of that, and we'll hear the Newcastle roar go around the Energy Australia Stadium. It was deafening a lot of occasions last season in the championship run.
Don't forget, of course, you can catch this game on high definition on Fox Sports HD. And let's hope you get a goal to enjoy as well. Dominant in the first half, the Jets, but Melbourne Victory are dangerous opponents at the best of times. They've made the change, the visiting team. Haven't lost yet on the road this season. Newcastle yet to win at home. On the evidence of that first half, that situation could turn around. particularly when, as we've already mentioned, the Jets have a couple of very handy weapons on the bench. Roddy Vargas, a good battle alongside Edmundo Zero. There is the Jets reserves, including their marquee star, their top goal scorer, and the defending or reigning Warren medalist, Joel Griffiths. Adam DePuzzo and Song Jin Hyung also on the bench for the Jets. Well, I guess at the very, very worst, we can forget about all this talk comparing Edmundo Zura with Mario Jardel, which has been around the traps in the last few weeks. Chalk and cheese. Even before tonight has certainly proved that beyond doubt.
Well, actually the turning point was actually the Wellington game last week. He got an enormous applause from the crowd when he left after whatever it was, 70-odd minutes. And that first half was the best we've seen from him. It's exactly why Van Egmond would have brought him to the club. But now he has to build on that.
Thompson, pretty positive the first 5 or 10 minutes of the game, Archie Thompson, but almost invisible after that. Pondliak. Quite sure what he had in mind there, Tommy Pondliak. There's the victory bench. Nicky Ward and Lee Broxham are the remaining outfield substitutes. Of course, they've already made one change with Michael Thwaite into the centre of defence. Slow to react there, Archie Thompson. I'm just wondering how much that couple of weeks in camp with the Socceroos might have taken out of him. Doesn't look as sharp as we're used to seeing Archie Thompson. We've talked so much about the Newcastle Jets and their positive performance. What can the victory do to change the tempo and pattern of this game?
Well, they've got a number of players who are below their best. You mentioned Thompson. Carlos Hernandez is a real game breaker, but we haven't seen much of it. I guess for that, here's the foul against Joe Wheelhouse. You have to credit the intensity of Newcastle, which was outstanding in the first half. Melbourne really need to get control of the centre of the park, or at least get a share of the battle in the centre of the park. That's where they've been found most wanting.
Kovic, watchful. Cross from Pondliak is deflected. Now breaks for Hernandez, and what a snapshot that was from Carlos Hernandez. No backlift, no hesitation. Kovic with the save.
Well, that was Ronaldinho-like. Standing start, no approach to the ball, pure technique and thigh strength, and Kovic had to touch over. From nothing, almost something came.
Well, that is some encouragement for the victory. They have a corner to be taken by Hernandez. That's just cleared the head of Vargas. And that's going to be another corner for Melbourne. Disappointed with himself, Roddy Vargas. Nothing too much wrong with the delivery from Carlos Hernandez. Now Berger. It's Melbourne's 5th corner of the match. You never assume anything against Melbourne victory, even if they're being outplayed. Such a formidable unit, so much experience, so much confidence. Roddy Vargas re-signing with the victory this week. Happy to stay in his hometown. Very important signature, I would suggest, for the victory, given, of course, that we know all about the raids that the Gold Coast United club are going to make into the transfer market. We also have got North Queensland FC coming in next year. It's a seller's market if you're a player. Roddy Vargas was unquestionably in big demand. Here's Zura. Mistake from Thwaite. Jesic in the middle, goes near post. That's where the ball is delivered. Not bad from Edmundo Zura again. It's a decent combination with Marko Jesic. He's enjoying having a player who's got plenty of energy and is always within vicinity as well, Edmundo Zura. Good switch from Gary van Egmond. Played two up front. It's worked so far. Brebner. Griffiths. Absolutely outstanding so far. Gets away from Zaleski. Now Thompson has Zura to his left. Plays through the middle instead with Jesic and then commits the foul.
Now that was a cul-de-sac Newcastle really didn't need to go down. The play opened beautifully by Adam Griffiths again. He's had a stellar match coming back from that hamstring injury. And they had Melbourne stretch there, Newcastle. And it's the old adage, you know, once you've got a team on the ropes, you mustn't let them off the ropes, particularly when they're a team that's won a championship. They know what it takes to get out of trouble. They've been brilliant so far this season, have Melbourne victory. You see it so often in football, these patterns. Teams in form, dodging bullets, teams struggling, playing well, and somehow receiving a sucker punch.
Bodliak. Here's Thompson. Well done by North initially. Hasn't quite been cleared by Newcastle. Now Hutchinson. Well, he's turned it over. Hernandez. A trifle optimistic from Carlos Hernandez. Just the one goal this season from the Costa Rican, Carlos Hernandez. Six goals in all since he arrived at the Melbourne Victory on loan at the start of last season. Zura. Jesic rides the first challenge, gets away from the second, makes room for the cross. Bad delivery as well. The exuberance of youth is being displayed in its fullest by Marko Jesic tonight. We are suggesting, and that seems to be what will happen, that Zura will be replaced by Joel Griffiths at some stage of this match. But looking at the way Zura's played, looking at the way Jesic has played, is there also room for all three players in this Newcastle side?
Joel Griffiths can come in from a midfield position. There's the instruction from Gary van Egmond. He feels the next 10 minutes to really ram home their advantage.
Ball from Tarek. Almost picked out Jesic. That's Elrich. Well, some things you can coach, and some are just natural. And Marko Jesic seems to have a natural ability to pick the space between defenders and make the runs.
He's been very, very
instinctive.
impressive. He's been very impressive. And the evidence so far, a little bit against Wellington and 55 here against Melbourne. He's been very, very impressive. Very good option. Now let's see how Newcastle go in these 10 minutes. Van Egmond's asking for the pressure to grow again. They did it brilliantly in the first 45.
Well, he's just sent Joel Griffiths to warm up. ram home the advantage.
Well, if they can soften them up sufficiently in the next 10 minutes, as Van Egmond has asked.
Here's Berger. It's a dangerous ball in from Evan Berger. Deserved better. Very static there, the three Melbourne Victory players, as that cross came in. There's Thompson, Allsop and Hernandez. There's Joel Griffiths. Sight for sore eyes if you're a Jets fan. Thompson goes down in the area. The referee had a clear view, Matthew Breeze.
Melbourne just don't have enough players in motion tonight. When they've been at their best this season, they've defended well, but when they've been at their best in an attacking sense, they've had plenty of players in motion. They haven't had it tonight. Hernandez will pick up the ball in midfield, Brebner or Selesky, and there's always been 2 or 3 options in motion. They haven't been able to unlock that this evening. Newcastle have been too good, too much pressure.
Wheelhouse venturing forward. A little bit of space on his left-hand side for Matt Thompson. Early ball in is a poor one. Easily picked off by Muscat. Thompson's done well though to recover. Down he goes, almost keeps his feet. Can't get past the second challenge from Pondeljac. Played all over the park for Newcastle Jets, Matt Thompson. Back in the role that he occupied throughout last season, left fullback. And Archie Thompson
has picked up a red ticket.
Is off. Well, Archie Thompson's off.
Straight red for dissent. It's something he said.
Well, that's pure frustration. And Matthew Breeze, very harsh on the dissent. And Archie Thompson has been sent from the field. And a difficult assignment just got harder for Melbourne Victory.
Well, the frustration came. He felt he was fouled there first up by Joe Wheelhouse. Wheelhouse nipping in and winning the ball. And it's at that point the verbal volley came. And Matthew Breeze quite within his rights.
Well, there's a look of astonishment on the face of Archie Thompson. He's looked at the colour. He can't believe it.
Mate, these are tough calls for players, but the message has been loud and clear.
Well, if anyone knows that message, it's Melbourne Victory and Ernie Merrick and Archie Thompson. That's their 4th red card of the season. They thought they'd turned the corner. They've only just got Theoklitos and Hernandez back from suspension. And here we go again. What is Matthew Breeze saying there? Look at my top pocket. There's a few cards in there and I won't hesitate to use them. In fact, he's saying it's all about respect. The respect badge, I'm told. It's a worthy campaign, isn't it? Respecting match officials. And I guess a lot of players are finding out the hard way what it's all about.
Just reading, the body language from Archie there. His case will be that I wasn't letting fly at the referee. From this vantage point, we're not to know, but you can only support referees standing up for themselves.
Melbourne have to readjust now. Newcastle have to make the most of their one-man advantage. Easier said than done. Melbourne have been in this position before, unfortunately for Ernie Merrick. They've done pretty well, by and large, with
They
10
often
men.
have. They often have. They do seem to find that extra energy and inspiration.
Zura. Early ball in, hangs in the air, and Michael Thwaite taking no chances.
Beautiful work from Zura. That cross had centre forward finish me off all over it. And they just didn't have a body in the box. Jesic was out on the left, Huckinson coming through the middle. It was just begging to be smashed into the goal. Michael Thwaite, cool as a cucumber on the back stick.
Corner Jets. And the header was from Joe Wheelhouse, arriving late. Another corner. In fact, it's come off a Melbourne player. So
we saw Huckinson get a yellow card for dissent in the first half, Mike, and Huckinson approached the referee as they walked towards the sheds. What was that all about? In English, says the Dane, and it's about respecting referees. That is the match official's badge on all the officials, and you can only support the cause. You can only support the cause. And Thompson, of course, claiming he said something in another direction.
Thompson gets past the first challenge. Over commitment there from Danny Allsop. Suddenly got their way out of trouble here, Melbourne. They're going to have to survive half an hour, the victory. Maybe they've got higher ambitions, who knows? Danger here for Newcastle, of course, is to take their foot off the pedal and assume that the game is there for the taking. It's never there for the taking against Melbourne victory. You have to earn every point you get from this team, 10 men or not. Well done by Vargas. Zura's just picked up a knock there. Here's Holland. Kantarovski. Hutchinson.
Good work, Roddy Vargas. Good combination with Theoklitos and cool heads, Melbourne. They've got some points up their sleeve on the league table. Newcastle have to chase the game. And cool heads can win the day for Melbourne. Have done it before with 10 men. They have the experience and quality to do it again. There's no doubt about that.
Well, they beat Adelaide United at home with 10 men. They drew away to the Central Coast with 10 men. So they are sources of encouragement for Ernie Merrick, who denies repeatedly that his team has a disciplinary issue. But 4 red cards in 8 games is not good by any stretch of the imagination, whichever way you look at it.
Well, it's change time now for Melbourne. Nick Ward has gone to the 4th official, so he'll be coming into the field. It will be a good change of that. Nicky Ward back from injury, and Hernandez back from suspension and a slight muscle strain as well. Will make way.
Composed play there by the victory. Long ball forward by Brebner, looking for Danny Allsop, who's done well just to nudge Jade North into the ball, win his team a throw-in. The change can now be made.
And one player in particular, Mike, for Melbourne, who does seem to rise to the extra challenge is Danny Allsop. He's often done it in concert with Archie Thompson. The two of them in 10-man teams have been very, very impressive. Well, Thompson's gone, and I expect Allsop to fill that space as well. He just loves this challenge. Now, Hernandez making way. He's been off his best today. Nick Ward with a great opportunity now. In the weeks to come, they're still missing Nate Fabiano. Thompson will now be missing. That straight red will then be deferred straight to the disciplinary committee. There's a great chance for Nick Ward to seize the moment.
There are the victory fans looking to inspire their team against the odds. They are long odds at the moment. The victory next week at home to Sydney FC. That's a blockbuster. I'm sure Sydney will be pretty happy that Archie Thompson won't be involved in that game. The Jets heading down the F3 to Gosford for the derby against the Central Coast Mariners. They need a win here, Newcastle. Look at the points table. They don't want that gap to the top 4 to stretch too much. They're 3 points behind the Mariners, who are in 4th position. Melbourne have been joined at the top by Adelaide United, who of course beat Queensland Roar last night. So they do have a little bit of insurance up their sleeve, the victory, but the Jets need to make the most of this situation now. 3 draws in their 3 home games.
The challenge for Newcastle, and this often happens to teams, is to unwittingly take the foot off the pedal. The numerical advantage sometimes means that a team drops their intensity. They've this subconscious thought that it's just a matter of time before we make the most of the advantage.
Good ball from Jesic, and he got the call from Elrich. Needs a good cross. Cut out by Vargas. Zura. His first touch from the Ecuadorian. Elrich heading towards the byline. Somehow keeps his feet and then fouls Vargas, who's done ever so well there, Ronnie Vargas. It's back to the wall now for those victory defenders.
And it's Adam Dapuzzo who's making his way before Joel Griffiths and Song.
11,384. That's a decent crowd for the Newcastle Jets. And they've got their money's worth, those Newcastle fans. It's been a thoroughly absorbing contest.
We are shaping up for a double change here for Newcastle. Van Egmond not waiting. His team has had the better of the football match. They've been outstanding, and they have a numerical advantage and just so slightly gone off the boil. Mustn't let Melbourne back into the game. The wonderful opportunity to get 3 desperately needed points.
Superb ball from Joe Wheelhouse. But, Thompson has given it away. Ward looking for Allsop. Danger here for Newcastle. Kovic has done ever so well to come outside his area and clear the danger. Well, that is a warning sign for Newcastle Jets. Danny Allsop, a constant menace. Ward. Here's Hutchinson. And a wild swipe from Evan Berger. Well, that double change is on the way for the Newcastle Jets. Song and Dapuzzo, and we believe Adam Griffiths and Jesper Hutchinson are going to be the players who will leave the field, which means for now Zura is staying out there. Adam Griffiths, of course, back from injury.
Superb performance.
Wonderful effort from him. Equally, Jesper Hutchinson, his best effort in the gold shirt.
It's a great situation for Song. That's all worked for Gary Van Egmond so far, apart from the missed penalty.
Kantarovski. I wonder how much those 2 very good saves for Michael Theokotos in that first half, how much of an influence they'll have on the outcome of this game. Excellent work from him on both occasions.
And what we're seeing so far in the Newcastle shape is Song, whom we've become used to watching playing on either flank, has gone into the Hutchinson position straight at the top of the diamond. That's a good option.
Brebner opens up some room for Thwaite. Brebner gets the rebound. Ward taken out. That's a free kick, Melbourne. Chance for the victory from a dead ball. Not getting the timing right there, Jade North.
Yeah, just a fraction late, this Newcastle skipper. The potential in the position here for Melbourne. Evan Berger will hit an in-swing with his left foot, you'd fancy. There'll be a barrage of grey shirts heading towards Ante Kovic to arrive with the ball. Will they look to work this passive offside situation again that we've seen Melbourne do, and we saw in Queensland last night?
Kovic sets the wall. Musket, Allsop, Thwaite, Vargas, all very good in the air, and it comes from Berger. What a header that was. I think it was Jade North. Exceptional defending. Jesic, Zura. Stretches the legs. Edmundo Zura. Gets the cross in. Elrich goes for goal from a long, long way out. Tarek Elrich.
He scored from that sort of range against Wellington. I'm sure he felt the same. And what a header, Great North. That is a skipper's knock. Brilliant defending. There's no other way to describe it. And at the other end, Newcastle in the slingshot of a counter-attack. Zura again breaching the back line. Tarek Elrich just looking to let rip. Very impressive, Zura.
Does tend to take his time, doesn't he, Ante Kovic, in getting rid of these back passes. Backfired once spectacularly already this season. Here's another Newcastle player whose future is the subject of a great deal of speculation. Yet to put pen to paper on a new deal here at the Energy Australia Stadium. Free kicks which have started to fall Melbourne Victory's way will be of great encouragement for Ernie Merrick, giving the players a chance to take a breather, maybe take the sting out of this Newcastle Jets onslaught. Seems to have done the trick. Ward. Capuzzo. Now, Elrich. Just wires cross there between Tarek Elrich and Marko Jesic. Gary Van Egmond tempted to play Tarek Elrich in a forward position in this game, but spent a lot of time thinking about that option. Decided in the end that he was better served with Elrich at right back. Not yet convinced that he's a regular goal scorer. He's scored a couple of bombs, but he wants players in that front third who he thinks are likely to score. Elrich, for his point of view, not quite in that category yet. Maybe a work in progress. Tarek Elrich is an attacking player for Newcastle. Good possession play from Melbourne. Allsop. Some good signs from Melbourne now. Last couple of minutes. Great ball from Brebner. Berger challenges. And it's a foul in the end from Evan Berger. Two very committed players going for the ball. The decision favours Wheelhouse.
But it was Melbourne's best passage of play. They worked it beautifully in tight, then spread it, then went in tight again. It was Berger making a 50-50 challenge on the ball, which Matthew Breeze thought went 60-40 in favour. Hence the free kick.
Ward linking up with Danny Allsop, who will run it down. Ward continues his run. Allsop takes on Tarek Elrich, tries to squeeze it through a corner.
And Joel Griffith
is a good result.
He's on the sideline. And the substitution for Newcastle, their final one, 75 minutes in.
There he is, the main man in Newcastle, the face of the Jets, the marquee player from next season, back from injury. Just waiting for this corner by the looks of things. Charlie Selesky taking his time. Goes near post. Half cleared, and on the turn, Ronnie Vargas appealing hopefully for a corner.
They're appealing for a penalty. In fact, Allsop and Muscat. But here's the change.
Well, listen to the roar from the Jets fans. And surprise, surprise, it's not going to be Edmundo Zura. It's going to be Matty Thompson. A show of faith in the Ecuadorian. And Joel Griffiths on for the last 15 minutes. It's a tailor-made situation for the money man for Newcastle.
So Song comes out onto the right. Joel Griffiths up front with Zura. Marko Jesic has moved a little to the left. And what Newcastle have to do is to stop Melbourne playing out of defence. And with the extra man you can do that. You can virtually go man on man.
Here's Griffiths, his first touch. The pass from Wheelhouse. Here's Jesic now. Poor clearance by Muscat. In fact, it was Jesic with the shot in the end from the edge of the box.
Yeah, it was
a snapshot from the youngster.
It was Deputso with the cross. It didn't have a lot on it. It was a disappointing effort from Deputso, but it fell wonderfully. Look at that from Deputso. Muscat with the half clearance. And the snap reaction from Marko Jesic. Big vote of confidence. Played well. Zura played well. Big names off the bench. Song and Joel Griffiths. Newcastle with an extra man. Melbourne hanging on. Fabulous game of A-League football.
That decision goes against Tarek Elrich, who needs to zip it. Pretty unhappy with the call from Matthew Breeze. Might have had a case. He looked to have got in front of his opponent. Here's Vargas. Well, let's credit Melbourne victory again with the way they have dealt with this one-man disadvantage. Song still going the Korean, and Evan Berger all over Song like a bad suit.
He's a terrific little competitor though, Evan Berger. Song had the better of him. But Berger wasn't going to be beaten. It is a clear yellow card. There can be no complaints.
Third card of the season for Evan Berger. Deputso, Kantarowski. Huge amount of room here for Elrich. Ball floated deep. Theoklitos watching it all the way. Did he take it over the line, the goalkeeper? That is the verdict of the assistant referee. Corner, Newcastle.
He's calling for a foul on Adam Deputso as well, but I think the corner is a right decision. Theoklitos, the ball was hanging. It wasn't a good cross from Tarek Elrich, but Theoklitos had plenty of time under it. He had to make the play on the ball. It was he who carried the ball out.
Corner, Newcastle. Theoklitos punches clear. And Tarek Elrich screwing his shot. Doesn't need a second invitation, does he? Two goals in his Hyundai A-League career. Tarek Elrich, both from distance. Although the goal against the Phoenix a couple of weeks ago did get a pretty healthy deflection. Strong challenge from Kantarowski. Brave challenge. Here's Joel Griffiths. Song. It's broken nicely for Joel Griffiths. Rare mistake from Vargas. And the ball inside looking for Zura. Good work here from Joel Griffiths.
Well, he worked himself
initially anyway. The cross maybe needed to be pulled back.
Just had a slight deflection though, Mike. Just had a slight deflection. Got the better of Roddy Vargas. His touch actually opened the situation for Griffiths.
Here's Ward. Holland. Song. We're into the final 10 minutes of the match. Song gets it back from Joel Griffiths. Song again, looking for his first goal. Still looking, Song Jin-hyung. Well positioned, Michael Theokotos in that Melbourne goal. It's all about the finishing touch for Song Jin-hyung. Holland is to Puzzo. Well, when you look at the youth in this Newcastle Jets side, regardless of the outcome of this game, this is a combination of players with a decent future at this club. Kandarovski, Holland, Jesic, Puzzo, Elrich. The best football yet to come. Song's done ever so well. Here's Joel Griffiths. Song. And Joel Griffiths just leaving it behind as Vargas comes away and continues his run. Turned over by Ward. Strong challenge by Muscat. What else would we expect? Now Allsop. Song Jin-hyung.
There's a great 1-2 in the edge of the box. And Melbourne, again, defensively, you have to pay credit because their defence was breached, but they recovered, closed the space to perhaps rush Song just fractionally.
Allsop. And Song Jin-hyung has overplayed his hand. It's an offside call against Tommy Pondiak. Chance for the victory to make their next change. Lee Broxham to replace the Scotsman Grant Brebner. That will be a straight swap. Look at that holding midfield role. Hard day at the office for Grant Brebner.
Well, he's fighting for his place now with Jose Luis Lopez back on deck next week, we'd presume. Some fresh legs for Melbourne to hopefully see out this final 6 minutes plus stoppage time.
Song. That's excellent work by Marko Jesic. He's done it. A goal on his starting. He's huffed and he's puffed, and finally he has blown the house down.
Well, it's a goal he's deserved, and it's a quality finish too. Song knocking the ball over to the back post, and the rebound of sorts falling to Marko Jesic. Thwaite diving on the turn, full volley off the underside of the bar. It's no less than Newcastle have deserved, and it's no less than Marko Jesic has deserved. Look at that. Mark this one down for the future.
A young man with a massive future marks his starting debut in the best possible way. A goal which may well prove to be the winner. It's been a long time coming for Newcastle. They've got the goal, they've got the one-man advantage. Melbourne victory, tied, hanging on.
Speaking of tied, Zura's gone again. He's holding his hamstring. I'm not sure if that's cramp, but he's gone immediately to grab his right hamstring. Down he goes in the penalty area. No more subs left for Newcastle.
I think it's cramp. Gary Van Egmond making sure his team stay focused. And those Jets fans bouncing in celebration now. Might have been the birth of a very, very promising career.
That is outstanding technique. We've talked about his positional play. Well, certainly impressed me in the first half. Famous air swing on debut, starting debut in that first half, but there was no air swing in the one that counted. What a great sight. A young player full of confidence, has taken his chance in general play and has taken a vital chance to score a goal.
Well, are we seeing a turning point in Newcastle's season? 3 draws in their 3 home games so far. Gary Van Egmond rung the changes going into this match. He set out to attack the victory from the first whistle. It's taken until almost the last whistle to get a reward for that positive approach. But it's hard to argue that Newcastle haven't been the better side in this match.
Melbourne were a beaten team before they went to 10. They just have enough quality and experience to get out of jail. And they've defended well on base, basically have Melbourne very well against a massive onslaught from the home team.
They're going to come again, Newcastle. Muscat with some defending to do. Zura's still off the park, so it's 10 apiece for the moment. Elrich. Capuzzo. Well, he's almost given it away in a dangerous area there, Adam Capuzzo. Gary Van Egmond frantically pointing on the sideline. He wants numbers back around that halfway line. Wants to keep hold of what he has. That's entirely understandable. Now Vargas. Allsop making sure he stays on side. Wheelhouse has done well. Song hurdles the challenge of Broxham. Well, Newcastle, as we know, are historically slow starters in the Hyundai A-League. The defending champions have made the worst ever start to a title defence after 7 rounds, 7 points. Tonight, they've looked a completely different side.
Well, Gary Van Egmond will say, and he's on the public record as saying he reckons his team turned the corner a couple of rounds ago. And this has been their most emphatic performance, and if in fact they have been building slowly, they have been very impressive tonight. Good performances from 1 to 11 and off the bench. And against no marks, Melbourne victory. League leaders who've dished up themselves some of the best football we've seen this season. It has been a mighty contest. Game has not failed to deliver.
Well, the question now is how long do the Jets have to last? And the answer is 3 more minutes. 3 minutes between Newcastle Jets and their first home win of the season.
We'll just wait for the Newcastle roar to start. We're not far off it.
And it comes from that left-hand side. The Victory scramble.
And of
Jesic
course,
with a challenge.
We have seen, particularly in this fourth season of the Hyundai A-League, 90 minutes means nothing. It's almost the 3 or 4 minutes of injury time which define, and Melbourne have built their season so much that you daren't write them off.
Well, a goal and a ticket for Marko Jesic. Thwaite. Now Elridge. Theoklitos. Here goes Kevin Muscat. Now Zaleski. We've got numbers forward here, Melbourne. One of them is Allsop. Dupuzzo needs to get in there first, and he's done well because he's been fouled in the process, Adam Dupuzzo. And right now, a free kick is almost as good as a goal. In the meantime, Kantarovski's gone down with cramp.
It's been a huge performance from the youngster as well. He hasn't played a lot of senior football. We saw him in the first game of the season against the Central Coast Mariners. He was outstanding then. Just been fits and starts since. Back into a more familiar midfield position. He's a wonderful prospect as well. Not yet 17, is that correct, Mark? Ben Kantarovski? Or if just. He doesn't play like a 17-year-old. Well, at the moment he feels like his leg's a 70-year-old.
(16 years of age, 17 in January.
There you go.
Still at school.
Zura, well, he's lasted the 90, but barely. And he got another fist pump from Gary Van Egmond when he made his way back to halfway after the cramp. 5 more minutes at Mundo. This will be his first full match. And it's been outstanding, really. His tiredness have got the better of him, but the offering for the first 70 minutes, 65 minutes from the Ecuadorian was mouth-watering.
Kantarovski goes off on a stretcher with cramp. We're past the allocated time, but there's still time for the Victory because of that injury. So once again, it's 10 apiece. Thwaite launches it. It's come off Dupuzzo. North. Good work from Jade North. Very good work from Jade North. Muscat. Broxham's ball hangs in the air. Zaleski is there, so too is Song Jin Hyung. Chance here for Melbourne. The shot was from Pontiac. And that is the full-time whistle here at Energy Australia Stadium. The champions maybe have turned the corner. Finally, Newcastle get their first win at home. And it's a night to remember for Marko Jesic. His goal, the difference between Newcastle and Melbourne Victory. Cause for celebration, a victory that Newcastle thoroughly deserved. It was a long time in the making, but in the end it was Marko Jesic on his starting debut with a wonderful finish to complete a wonderful performance and give Newcastle Jets the victory in a wonderful match of football. All smiles among the Jets players. Melbourne Victory put up a good fight, but in the end, the full-time score at Energy Australia Stadium, the Newcastle Jets 1, Melbourne Victory 0. Well, the only goal of the match was scored late in the match, and it came from Marko Jesic, who had a number of chances, couldn't convert. Of course, the Jets have also missed a penalty, and it was the 85th minute of the game when finally they made the breakthrough, and what a volley, what a finish, what a moment for Marko Jesic. Delightful play in the lead-up from Song Jin Hyung. To put so with a touch, but the finishing touch was a superb one from Marko Jesic. That's what it means to him. That's what it means to the fans of the Newcastle Jets. It's taken until round 8, but finally the champions have won at home. And maybe they've turned around their season. Excellent effort from all 11 players in the gold shirt. Of course, Melbourne Victory finishing the match with 10 players. The red card, the straight red card to Archie Thompson for dissent. A smile from Gary Van Egmond. I'm sure a smile from the goal scorer, Marko Jesic. He's with Melanie McLaughlin.
Marko, sorry for interrupting. Could you have dreamt a better starting debut?
Speechless. I'm just speechless. It was a good performance by the boys, also from Melbourne, but like I said, I'm just speechless about that.
Well, tell us about the goal, because it was a long time coming. It almost looked like it was going to end in frustration.
Yeah, it was right from the get-go when we started the game. Had a couple of opportunities, but I just kept on pushing and kept on going, and then finally one came.
And what about the partnership with Edmundo Zura, because it looked extremely comfortable?
Yeah, it is a bit hard to communicate with Zura, but we worked quite well during training this week, and it showed at the game today.
Were you guys confident after all those attempts in the first half? Were you confident at half-time of going on with it?
Yeah, we're confident because I feel like that we had more possession. We were controlling the game, and at half-time, Gary was saying, just keep going, boys, you can keep doing it, and we've done it.
All right, congratulations, mate.
Thanks a lot. See you.
Wonderful moment for the young man, and plenty of talking points out of a massive game of football here at Energy Australia Stadium. The Melbourne Victory losing on the road for the first time this season. Newcastle winning at home for the first time this season. If you've got something to say about the match, join Andy Harper and myself for our post-game analysis on Fanzone. Give us an email, foxsports.com.au/football. We'll be back in a moment.
Victorious scenes for the defending champions and the current coach of the year. Gary Van Egmond gets his first home win of the campaign, and Melbourne, they fought and they scratched and they hung on, but it wasn't enough to deny young Marko Jesic his moment. Marko Jesic, rather, his moment in the sun. Energy Australia Stadium, the scene of a Newcastle Jets victory by 1-0. It took them 85 minutes, but it was certainly well worth the wait. Great tonic for the Jets. They've stumbled and they've wobbled, they've gained momentum over the last few weeks, Mike, but certainly on the evidence we've seen tonight, they're back, and how. What a wonderful game of football.
It was a wonderful game of football. The miracle was only one goal. Of course, we know the Jets also missed a penalty in that first half, and that's tough luck for Edmundo Zura, who had a wonderful game. Look, it was a great advertisement for the Hyundai A-League. We've seen some games in the last few weeks which maybe haven't hit the mark, but this one certainly did. Maybe exceeded the mark. Two very good football teams going at each other, hammer and tongs.
Yeah, it was a wonderful match. There was plenty of action and there were plenty of heroes. None more so than the captain of the Newcastle Jets, Jade North.
For the first time this season, finally got the monkey off the back.
Yeah, and what a game, and we had to go get the 3 points tonight, otherwise Melbourne would have got too far away from us. But credit to the boys tonight, they put in a massive performance, and could have been a few more goals.
You had so many chances. Did you think it was going to end in frustration, because you just seemed to lack that killer punch at the very end?
Yeah, it was a little bit frustrating, but also it was a challenge at the time, and after Zura missed the penalty, we thought, oh well, but we made plenty of chances, and we eventually got one, so we're happy with the result.
What does this result do for your team confidence-wise?
Just for us to go forward now, and I think this is the game that's going to turn our season around, and we had to get the win tonight, and the boys did it.
A goal from Marko Jesic. Edmundo Zura combined really well with him, and it seemed like a lot of the young guys stepped up. Do you think it's in good stead for this second round?
Yeah, absolutely. And next week we're going to have Joel back, and Marko played what a game he played tonight, and he's going to be a real standout in the A-League, I think. So, played well tonight and scored us a goal. So we're over the moon.
Thanks, Jade.
Thanks.
Well, there's not much to disagree with Jade North. He is one of the outstanding captains in the Hyundai A-League. He led from the front at the back tonight, and they weren't under a huge pressure because they put Melbourne under so much pressure. And then finally, 5 minutes from the 90, they got this wonderful goal from an outstanding young talent.
What a starting debut from Marko Jesic. This is a young boy who's had so much adversity in his career. He was at the Institute of Sport, had a knee reconstruction, recovered from that, trained here at the Jets last season, picked up another knee injury, another reconstruction on the other leg. He's just come back from so much adversity. He was outstanding from the first whistle to the last. And gee, if you're going to get your first goal in the Hyundai A-League, you don't get it any better way than that. What an outstanding finish, and maybe a candidate for a goal of the year.
Well, he had plenty of chances facing the goal, Mike. This is the one he managed to nab when he wasn't facing the goal. His offerings throughout the game were very, very impressive. I think this little snapshot, however, does sum up a lot of the game. It was Melbourne hanging on and defending, but oftentimes through the course of the 90, it was Newcastle the first to react to the crumbs. We saw that with Song. Then the ball to the back stick. It was desperation from Michael Thwaite, and then in the end they couldn't clear their lines, and finally Newcastle got what I think most objective observers would have believed to be a fair result.
No doubt Newcastle deserved this victory. They were the better team for 90% of this game. Look, Melbourne's defence is the best in the competition. We can see why. The likes of Vargas and Muscat and Berger and everyone else scrambled really well. Matthew Kemp in that first half. So they're hard to get past. Michael Theokotos with a couple of good saves, but, you know, even the most one-eyed Melbourne victory supporter couldn't argue that Newcastle were the better side tonight. They didn't create a lot of chances. Melbourne victory, Newcastle by and large have had a pretty good record against Melbourne until that 5-0 result in round 3. They've got that monkey off their back. They got their first home win. Big for their confidence. Jade North saying there that it's a turning point of the season. I tend to agree. I think Gary Van Egmond's now got all the pieces of the jigsaw looking like they're in the right place finally.
With Joel Griffiths yet to come back into the team, well, he must be the happiest man in Newcastle. Jets coach Gary Van Egmond, who very kindly joins us now. Gaz, the best performance by your team this season?
Oh, undoubtedly. They were very committed tonight, and the boys played extremely well. A little bit frustrating, obviously, in the first half not to get something out of it with the domination that we had, but that was a challenge to ensure that, you know, we were mentally still right for the second half, and we had to keep pressing to get the goal.
Gary, you changed formation tonight. You also changed a lot of players. You'd be pretty happy with the reward you got, particularly from Marko Jesic. What an outstanding starting debut.
Yeah, look, he's been through the mill, this kid. You know, really touted as a highly rated junior, and you know, his 2 knee reconstructions later, he's come back and he's worked awfully hard to get himself back into the shape he is, and he's always been a player with immense promise, and hopefully now he starts to show some of that.
Well, he was outstanding. He had a good partner up front in Edmundo Zura. Now, Gaz, you were pretty public during the week that he needed to do more. We're not quite sure how good his English is. If it's not great, how did the message get through? Because it demonstrably did.
Oh, look, it got through all right, because I saw his reaction yesterday and obviously today prior to the game. We had a good chat, and obviously with an interpreter there. He was very, very pumped up for this game. He really wanted to show his wares. I think it was important that we got someone to play alongside him for the mainstay of the game as well. And we try to stay as compact. I think we've been guilty of leaving him up there too much as a lone ranger. And tonight we really got people in and around him. And when he had the ball at his feet, his distribution and his decision making with it was very good.
Gary, just finally, Jade North said at the end there in an interview that he thinks this might be the turning point of the season. Do you agree with him?
Yeah, look, I think, you know, when you play against a team like Melbourne and they're leading the comp and you come out and you beat them, and I know it was 1-0, but, you know, it was fairly comprehensive. I think the mood in the camp after the game and the boys who come into the change room is one which you can feel exactly the same as what it was like last year. So, you know, we're very buoyed by the result and by the performance, and now it's a matter of making sure that we keep people on the park.
All right, well, Gary, thanks very much for your time. It's very generous of you. We'll let you go back and enjoy the celebrations, which are probably very raucous at the moment.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Thanks, guys.
And a good job done by Van Egmond, a good job done by the Newcastle Jets. They've picked themselves up by their bootstraps. It was a very, very impressive performance. They've arguably been building towards this. That's what Van Egmond would say. They got a little bit of help with the dismissal of Archie Thompson, although at that point, Mike, Newcastle are probably the better team and Melbourne a beaten team, but at this point of referees absolutely standing up for themselves and taking no verbal abuse. So we don't know what Thompson said, and he'll claim perhaps that he made a comment in another direction. But this was the first one with Jesper Haakonsen, a clear handball. He was frustrated, got a yellow card, and we saw walking to half-time, here we go, Haakonsen asked what that was all about, and And Matthew Breeze pointing quite obviously to the respect badge.
Well, whatever the merits of each case, and Archie Thompson may argue here he wasn't talking to the referee, he was talking maybe to himself, I'm not really sure. Whatever the merits of each individual case, if you're a player in the A-League at round 8 and you're not aware that you've got to keep your mouth shut around a referee, I mean, I don't know what you're watching, because the message has been rammed home pretty loud and clear from day one. The FFA have backed the referees to the hilt on this. It's a FIFA edict, it's an FFA edict.
That's fair enough.
Coaches want players to keep their mouth shut. They don't want to lose players with dissent. It's happened too much, and, Archie Thompson's going to have to bear the consequences.
All right, well, Melbourne have done it before with 10 men so far this season. They couldn't do it tonight at the Energy Australia Stadium. Let's get the thoughts of the coach, Ernie Merrick. Welcome, Ernie. Thanks very much for your time. You went to 10, obviously didn't help, but would you concede that perhaps Newcastle were a better team even to that point?
I thought Newcastle pressured us really well and prevented us playing our short passing type game. But the second half, when we had a slight change around in our organisation, we got into the game a little bit more. But overall, I thought Newcastle was a better team, but I was gambling we would get a draw out of the match.
Ernie, I'm sure you're sick of hearing this, but another red card, you must be gutted by that.
I am, Mike. The red cards have really hurt us this year. I mean, that's 4, and they're highly unlikely. People that have got the red cards, they're strikers and a goalkeeper. It's not the tough tackling defenders. And that one appears to be for dissent, and it's just not good enough, really.
Well, Ernie, when you witnessed Edmundo Zura hit the post with his penalty and then Newcastle knock but get nothing until the 85th minute, did you have a sense that you were, particularly when you went to 10 men, that you were going to, well, you said to get a draw, but perhaps even snatch something more?
I'm always confident if we get the ball forward to our strikers that we've got strikers capable of creating something out of nothing. So yes, we're always in with the chance of getting more than a point, but I thought the defence were rock solid. Even when we went down to 10 men with Brebner and Billy in the middle, it was pretty solid all round. It's a tough game and it's a cruel game at times, but we come away with nothing. But next week now we've got to focus on the Sydney match.
Ernie, you've had a great start to the season, just the last question here, but do you sense that it's going to tighten up this competition from here on in?
It always seems to go that way, Mike. Some teams, and I know that there's been injuries and suspensions all the way through. We've got a strong lineup, we've got good backup to come in, but there's no doubt that the bottom team can always beat the top team. We aim to be in the finals at the end of the season, and we haven't changed that aim.
All right, Ernie, well, once again, we thank you for your time post-match. We'll allow you to get back to your troops and patch up the wounds, because I'm sure your boys are hurting. Thanks very much.
Thanks, boys.
Yeah, Melbourne, they've been dented tonight, Mike, but certainly not knocked off stride.
No, not at all. I mean, they were in this game until the 85th minute on the scoreboard at least, and we talked about their defence being very strong, the best in the league. That gives them a great foundation. It puts them in a position to get a result in each and every game. Obviously, it's a contrasting set of emotions here. A couple of weeks ago against the Glory, Ernie was full of smiles, the team was full of smiles, probably their best performance of the season. Tonight, I don't know if it's their worst performance of the season, but I think they were second best for long periods of this game. Carlos Hernandez coming back from injury didn't really look at his best. Archie Thompson was out of the game for a long period of time. They were money men for Melbourne victory. I thought their defence was pretty good tonight. Goalkeeper outstanding, but I think in the front third they weren't up to their usual standard, and that's something that they have to look at.
Well, I'm sure they will. They've got a big one next week at the Telstra Dome against their arch rivals, Sydney FC. Righto, well, the post-match show will continue after this. Don't go away. We look forward to receiving your thoughts via the fan zone at the website foxsports.com.au/football. Look forward to hearing from you. We're back after this. Edmundo Zura was the man. He didn't get on the score sheet. In fact, he missed a penalty, but his general performance tonight would really warm the hearts of the fans of the Newcastle Jets. It's taken a while to get going. His team's taken a while to get going in this 4th season of the Hyundai A-League, but they were back with a bang at Energy Australia tonight. They got the points. It was looking dodgy for a while, that missed penalty, the main culprit. But Edmundo Zura arrived tonight, Mike. We've been waiting and waiting, and there have been snippets, but he arrived big time.
Well, there have been snippets, and the people that we've been comparing him to Mario Jardel were so far off the mark, it's not funny. This guy's mobile, he's quick, he's got good touch, he's I love that little shimmy, that little, swivel of the hips that he does to send defenders the wrong way. It was just a matter of match fitness. That's what Gary Van Egmont's been saying all along. He lasted the game tonight, but But he put in a great shift tonight for the Jets, and I reckon he's going to be a great buy.
And he had plenty of teammates too. Newcastle good, 1 through 11, and then the bench contributed as well. Well, the stats for the match showed a very impressive tale for the home team, and not just the score. They dominated possession, which is often a descriptor that applies to Newcastle. They spent more time in their opponent's half. They had just a share of the corners, 8-6, only 2 offsides in the match, and 27 fouls. The game had plenty of flow. There were a couple of yellow cards and tellingly a red card for Melbourne victory. Archie Thompson dismissed. The attack stats, 19 shots on goal from Newcastle, 10 from the visitors, 6 shots on target. Michael Theokotos, the busier of the 2 keepers. Look at that, 39 balls into the penalty area from the home team. Theokotos had to make 5 saves, and the penalty that hit the woodwork for Newcastle. And the shot chart for the Jets, well, the yellow one's the important one. That was Marko Jesic on the turn. All those green ones indicate shots on target from inside the penalty area. And in fact, even the red dots, Mike, just show how pointed Newcastle's attack was and how efficient it was. Apart from scoring, how efficient their attack was tonight.
Oh, it's very good. Look, that decision by Gary Van Egmond to play 2 strikers for the first time, in a long, long time, worked a treat. Zura looked so much better with a player near him. Not just a player near him, but Marko Jesic is so willing and makes so many runs, and he's always going to be chasing the ball. He gets into that space between the defenders. It's a good combination, and we saw Joel Griffiths come on towards the end. I posed the question during the call. There's Marko Jesic coming close. We posed the question during the call, can Newcastle have all 3 players as an attacking trio? And, you said they can. I tend to agree with you.
No doubt.
That's a lot of armoury for Newcastle, because they've been struggling to score this season. That has been their Achilles heel. They just haven't scored enough goals.
Well, he's got plenty of talent, Marko Jesic, and we wait to see how Van Egmond handles him from here. Ben Kandarowski, another young player in midfield, hasn't had a lot of football, but being nursed through it. This is a stunning finish. A young player whose head could have dropped, Mike, with the chances that he did create and did force saves from. Young players, any player, not just a young player, can go into their shell, but that was a fabulous finish.
Well, he's made of strong stuff, and as we heard from Gary Van Egmond, he's been to hell and back, this kid. He's had 2 knee reconstructions as a teenager. I mean, that's pretty horrendous, and a lot of players wouldn't come back from that. He's come back and he looks the business, and he's got his starting debut. He's got a goal to remember. He'll never get tired of watching that goal over and over again.
Why would you?
His confidence is up. And he should be in the team next week and the week after. He keeps producing this, regardless of Joel Griffiths' position.
The penalty miss from Edmundo Zura. Did you have the sense at this point, even though it was relatively early in the match, that it was going to be one of those games for Newcastle? Firstly, the incident that drew the penalty, Hutchinson, on the back of a beautiful attack from Newcastle. Roddy Vargas are judged to have handled the ball. When you saw this, did you get the feeling that, this is one of those games where a team that dominates falls on its own sword?
I was nervous for Edmundo Zura because we know about all the pressure he's been undergoing into the game. We know he hasn't scored. But then again, I was very happy to see him take the responsibility. To me, even though he's missed it, even though he's frustrated, the telling thing is he's had the confidence to take it, and that'll be good in the long run. Dead set claims for a handball. Frustration from Hutchinson, yellow card. We've talked about the respect and the dissent and all the rest of it. They should have had a goal before half-time, Newcastle, but they had to wait till 5 minutes before the end.
All right, Mike, to the fan zone, and there's been almost a tsunami of emails suggesting that respect needs to go both ways. Now, I don't think anyone would disagree with that principle. Did you see evidence tonight that respect wasn't going both ways? And we're talking about the referee to the players.
Look, all players like communication with the referee, even a joke with the referee, even a referee when you're sort of blowing your top to just say calm down, that's what respect is coming back from a match official. But it does have to work both ways. Archie Thompson's frustrated with the challenge of Wheelhouse. He's let off a few verbals, and Matthew Breeze, with the backing of the FFA, with the backing of FIFA, has decided he's not having it. Now, as I said before, it does work both ways, but at the end of the day, the onus is on the players to keep their mouths shut with their frustration.
Well, from the outside looking in, Archie's claim will be he wasn't talking to the referee, and that's the minefield that Melbourne now have to trip through to try and convince FFA.
There's a lot of lawyers making a lot of money out of Melbourne victory at the moment.
Yeah, well, that's a good point, if in fact that is going to be Archie's claim. But Matthew Breeze didn't hesitate. Well, there was an email directed at me from Steve in Melbourne who wanted to know if, as a former striker, and it's very kind of you to remember, Steve, do you get frustrated with defenders seemingly getting the better of the contest in the eyes of the referee? And universally, the answer is yes. Strikers always come off second best. There's no doubt in my mind. Defenders have the easy job, and strikers spend their entire life getting lumps kicked out of them. I agree with Steve.
Well, you would.
Right. End of story. Let's go to the next one. Now, Liam from Newcastle wants to know, despite how well Newcastle played tonight, are you still worried that they can't quite finish off their good attacks?
Well, the stats tell us that. They've still got a horrendous goal difference, which is going to be an issue as the season wears on. So they need to score goals. They need to score more than 1 or 2 or 3 a game, hopefully. I on paper, they have the artillery. With Griffiths fit, with Zura looking the business, young Marko Jesic. I mean, to me, that's a decent couple of players. Song, the provider, James Holland getting forward. You know, it looks like they have the players who can produce, but what they need is a player who's going to get double figures. That player is obviously, historically, Joel Griffiths. I think they've turned the corner here mentally. I think a few of the goals might start to flow, but again, they've left themselves a long way behind. I think it's a -6 goal difference after 8 rounds. They really have to peg that back pretty quickly.
All right, David from Melbourne wants to know why Michael Theokotos has not attracted the attention of Pim Verbeek.
Well, that's a legitimate question. Again, he proved tonight what an outstanding goalkeeper he is. Look, I don't think last year Michael Theokotos was as good as the year before, but he came back tonight after Mitchell Langrak had done a very good job deputising, and he produced 2 crucial saves. And they're saves that can often make a difference between winning and losing a game. Now, he did his job for Melbourne victory tonight. He's got a great build, he's got great hands, he's got confidence. He's got to be there or thereabouts. At the other end, Ante Kovac has had a taste of the Socceroos. At times, I don't see a great deal of difference between the two.
No, and Michael Theokotos did keep his goal very well behind a defensive unit that did defend very well, but Newcastle too good on balance tonight. Now, the final email comes from Corey in the Sunshine Coast. Laments the fact that Edmundo Zura, whilst being the most talented player in the league, or one of them, according to Corey, he's receiving very undue criticism.
Well, the only thing I can
hard
think...
on Zura tonight, Mike.
Yeah. How could we laud this bloke anymore? I mean, we've pumped him up and put him on a pedestal. We love to see imports in this league. We love to see good imports in this league. We love to see skillful, exciting imports in this league. He's all of the above. You've never heard much criticism from us up here. I can only assume there's a bit of word filtering around the place that comparing him to Mario Jardel, which, as I said earlier, is a complete joke. There's no comparison between the two. This guy excites me. If now he's got 90 minutes almost under his belt. I think he was tending to end the game on a stretcher. He got back out there, he finished the game. That's massive for his confidence. That missed penalty he should forget about, because he produced a fantastic performance tonight for the Jets, and he's going to get better and better.
He brings a great addition to the Newcastle cause. With him firing, Joel Griffiths back and fit, Song finding some form, Newcastle could go anywhere in this competition. As it is, they picked up the 3 points that were on offer tonight, and they joined their rivals, the Central Coast, equal on 4th place. According to the points table, but it's the goal difference that's hurting the Newcastle Jets. There's still a long way to go. They can turn that around. Melbourne still top of the table on goal difference. Adelaide have joined them after their win in Brisbane last night. And of course, Sydney can go top of the competition with a win in the West tomorrow. Queensland would want to be in a better position than they are based on some of the football they've picked up, and Wellington have it all to play for as well. Right, coming up for you on Fox Sports tomorrow, a double-header. Round 8 of the Hyundai A-League. The UNICEF round of the Hyundai A-League continues. That was the 300th match of the A-League this afternoon. We're on to goal number 799. Central Coast versus Wellington from the Blue Tongue Stadium. Our coverage on Fox 1 starts live at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Should be a cracking game. Will Mark Bosnich play? Let's wait and find out. And then Members Equity Stadium sees Perth Glory hopefully turn their season around against Sydney FC, who are looking, as we said, to go top of the competition. That coverage live from 5 p.m. Eastern, also on Fox Sports 1. Heaps of football, and the big moment of the week, of course, coming up on Wednesday. Kurovci of Uzbekistan against Adelaide United from the SK Stadium in Tashkent. Live Wednesday, 11:30 p.m. Don't miss that. A great night for Australian club football. Mike, thanks for your time. We've got to go.
Great game. Thanks, Harps.
It was a pleasure to bring it to you. Newcastle got the 3 points. Melbourne go home licking their wound. We'll see you tomorrow from the Blue Tongue Stadium at 2:30. Thanks for your company.